Are you ready, kids?
Hello. Good evening. here, Mars? Is that a me thing? Let me see. Might be a me thing.
Hello?
Ah, hello. It was a Mars thing.
Aha!
Never mind.
Okay, that was a me thing.
Ha,
That was
how
a me
dare
thing.
you.
Definitely a me thing.
Haha.
Nah, I walked. Okay, guys, this is why you don't be a cheapo like Mars, and you actually spend the extra $20 for wireless headphones. Because if I try to walk somewhere, like say to grab my water so I can have it while I'm at my desk during stream, my headphones disconnected ever
Yep.
so slightly.
You should have done it.
And
you
that
should have
caused
sprung.
me to be completely inaudible.
How could you? How dare?
I have a birthday coming up, so at the very least I can get new ones then.
Oh, here it is. Just trying to find this promotion channel on this Discord.
Ah, it's hidden.
I have found it.
Bravo.
Alright, success. We are here. Hello, welcome everyone. Dichotomy, Mason, Scott Cotton. Welcome, welcome.
Yes.
We're just gonna say Scott, but
Hello,
yeah, hello. Welcome. I saw you were here very early.
One is
Scott?
respected.
Who got land ho? Dichotomy did. Ooh, very nice. Beautiful.
Awesome.
My birthday comes first, Mason.
It does.
Her birthday's a little further.
I found a great
Scott.
gift for you yesterday.
Oh, fancy.
I saw it and I was like, oh my god, this screams Ori. I
can't
get
wait
it.
then. I need to find the thing that I need.
So, chat, heads up, I am working on the comic tonight, so unfortunately, I don't have dual screen like Ori does.
I'm
I
just
can't
epic.
all messages, but I shall take periodic breaks to go over and catch up on all said shenanigans.
It was in the chat with you. There she is. Hello. Yes, we have Miss Molly today.
Yes!
So, Miss
my
Molly,
little puppet girl.
For those who don't know, oh, hello Hans, thank you for the lurk.
Hey Hans, good to see ya. Hope you're well.
Yeah, so what are we doing today? Today is a little different, as it's on the side of the Drawings and Dragons that is sort of mostly teaching. We're kind of gonna have more of a Comic Corner vibe, that sort of thing. I mean, I feel like most of our streams have Comic Corner vibe besides the Ace Attorney streams. They're a little different. But
even Ace Attorney kind of has Comic Corner vibes because we end up talking about character development and writing
law,
good mysteries. And law, of course. Can't forget
sort of
the
stuff.
law.
But basically, I am going to be drawing the icon for Miss Molly. And we're going to talk a little bit about character design and a little bit about, things that I think about when I take Mars's or our other table members' sort of characters and translate them into art based on how much or how little they decide to give me. It varies.
So sometimes we're very good about that, and sometimes we are the absolute worst.
Yeah,
I imagine
sort
we
of
would be a commissioner's worst nightmare.
Well, that we can go into that too, but yeah, and sort of the things that, what Mars thinks about when she's deciding on what to tell me about her character and these sort of things. So maybe we should start a little with that, because then we can go into it, Mars, if you don't mind.
Totally.
When you have a character, right, that you've built, right? We're not talking about builds, not talking about anything. Whether you chose your race or heritage or whatever for aesthetics or for, build purposes or lore purposes. We're not talking about that. We're saying you have made a character, the species, the heritage, the everything of the character, the class, subclass, etc. Now what do they look like, right? So
yes.
Mars, after you get to that point, what do you do? Maybe Miss Molly specifically, or Alar, all good options.
So that's always very important. And honestly, for each D&D character, at least for me, it does differ from character to character. Because sometimes I have very specific ideas for how a character should look. And then other times, I really don't have any clue at all, and I kind of let Ori guide me a little bit. So a good example of I had a very specific idea in mind, this is what I want to go with, was probably either Jolie or Alar. And Miss Molly kind of fits the bill as well. I'll go with Miss Molly because that's relevant. So with Pathfinder, I was playing the Poppet race, which is like a little doll. Mine is a Wishborn Poppet, so she was brought to life by somebody's wish. You know, they wanted her soul to live. That was nice of them. So when I created her, I very much wanted her to have this throwback Raggedy Ann look, because I'm picturing like this little floppy doll just walking everywhere. She also has a child's personality, so that felt very fitting. Originally, I was going to go the porcelain doll route because in creating the character, whoever's seen I think it's called Oz the Great and Powerful, there's a porcelain doll in that movie, and I really liked how that was done with like all the different pieces and the mending, and also it was just a really cool concept in general. But then as I started fleshing out the idea more, and I was like, okay, no, the soul was a child soul. I was like, well, okay, going on that angle, what if she were more plush, like a child's stuffed animal? That would fit the vibe. So that kind of set the stage for Miss Molly being the type of doll she is, like a cloth doll, not a porcelain one. And then the rest of it is very inspired by a mix of Raggedy Ann and Anne of Green Gables is kind of the vibe I went with. Very like gingham plaid, picnic table style dress, an apron, because her background is that she worked in a restaurant, a family like mom and pop shop with her dad. And she does have memories of that. So her clothing would reference that. It would harken back to those days. And then the red hair was definitely a Raggedy Ann inspiration for sure. But I just kind of like my characters with red hair. I've also had Jill. Well, hers was more orange, actually. I'd still say it was.
Close enough. It's fantasy red, you know? It could be anything.
Definitely for Miss Molly, I had a very, very specific idea in mind. So when Ori came around saying like, hey, I'm now designing your character, I was able to give her a very clear image of what this character could look like.
That's funny, amazing.
With a character that didn't happen with, let me see, probably Thaddeus. I would say that was a character that Ori had more control over, because I really didn't have any ideas for him. Part of that was because it was a micro campaign. Like, this was not a character I would be putting a lot of time into, so to speak, because I wouldn't get to spend a lot of time with him. So personality, I feel like that got fleshed out. Like, it kind of made him a little bit of a goofball. Honestly, most of my male characters end up being goofballs. But he had a backstory, he had a personality, but he didn't really have a design. So he was a blade singer, and his whole thing was that he was basically using blade singing to make money. Like, that was his whole thing. Now, maybe I misinterpreted blade singing, but that was how I interpreted it at the time, so that's what I was going with. I imagined him as a performer, so a little on the flamboyant side, and then that's where it ended. He was flamboyant, and he was a tiefling. That was it. So Ori got to have a lot of creative freedom with that one, just because I really didn't have a strict vision in mind when creating him. So she started sending me some concept pieces, some ideas, and I was like, okay, I can envision this. Yeah, I'm vibing with this. This is good. So thus
So
Thaddeus's
this is
design was born.
essentially, this is Thaddeus. This is all we have of Thaddeus solely because, like Mars said, it was a micro campaign, and he will get a card eventually.
Dichotomy.
I don't know where he is on the list.
Tiefling was the correct
no,
pronunciation.
Tiefling is the right one.
Tiefling.
See, we're doing the
good,
Dylan
I'm actually
thing
right.
where we keep like going back and second guessing
You're making
ourselves.
me overthink
Yeah,
it. How dare
you? Exactly. But tea is nice and hot. Okay, if I remember correctly.
God, how are you drinking tea?
Because I have AC in my room, Mars.
I hate you.
It's not even on AC, it's just on dehumidifier.
How dare you have AC?
But, tea fling with the EA now, huh? Yeah, okay. But, if I remember correctly, Mars's biggest thing was this sort of circus vibe, okay?
Yeah.
Of, the pants and the shirt and everything, and the colors with the red and the yellow, that was very important, and the cape.
Court jester. That's what I was envisioning. Because, okay, so guys, a little quick backstory on Thaddeus. The way the micro campaign started was we all started off in jail, and our benefactor basically broke us out of jail to send us on a mission. So I wanted to come up for a reason why Thaddeus was in jail. So with that blade singing, again, I probably interpreted this wrong, but I'm imagining like sword juggler, maybe blowing fire out of his mouth, that kind of thing. He was performing on the king's grounds without a permit. That's why he was arrested. Loitering and performing on the king's grounds.
So, I'm actually trying to see if I find exactly, but yeah, so I was given that, and I was also given, so he was a tiefling with, I believe it is, the Zariel bloodline. So, given that, I specifically looked up how the depictions of Zariels are done in D&D 5e, and so one of them sort of has, they're both very like fiery with these sort of like cracking, fiery, stony skin and everything, and the horns have this very like spiky feature to them, and the ears and all this sort of stuff. And I wanted to make it, really push that into it. I did ask Mars whether, it was the hoof feet or claw feet or tail or not. And
it's always feet and tail.
I want all of it, but you said no tail, so But and then this armor and everything. I originally gave him this long flowing locks here. To me, that was very much like, it gives Ringmaster vibes, right? Sort of Lion Tamer vibes, especially with the fire hair and everything like that. But that was the one thing Mars did ask to change. She had envisioned him more with this sort of undercut thing going on that you can see on the left here, and so that's what I did, and that's where we're at. I won't lie, Dylan's very sad that it's not awesome Lion Tamer hair.
Dichotomy, I love that. I wasn't performing, I was auditioning. Perhaps you recognized my skill. Oh, okay, I'm in jail now.
Nope, and locked up. Quick cut to the bar door closing on him. That's the whole thing.
It's interesting you bring the hair into it, because, and this was something that definitely evolved as the campaign went on for, I know, all 3 sessions of it. I ended up giving Thaddeus a really bad Cockney accent. It was like Cockney, Brooklyn, like, it sounded horrendous. So, of course, me being me, like, I'm not going to switch the accent, but I'm also going to try to work it into the story. So I was like, okay, why on earth would he be talking like this? This is obviously a bad accent. And then I was like, it's because he's putting on an act. He's not actually confident. He's not actually like into this whole, I'm going to steal shit. I'm a tough, like, rough and tumble rogue type guy. No. He's putting on airs. So how that related to the hair, the long hair looked very cool, but that looked like it looked like it belonged to someone who was in the profession. Thaddeus was not in the profession. He was just doing it as a side gig to make money. So that's why I was like, okay, we kind of, like, if we have a hairstyle that doesn't look like it belongs, that fits the backstory a little bit. And clearly I put way too much thought into this character that only lasted 3 sessions.
This was one of Mars's downfalls. Out of all the characters, the 2 long ones, of course, got, you know, relatively fleshed out, but she decided that this one was very important. And he didn't last very long.
I really liked Thaddeus's
always
vibe.
Meant to be a micro campaign.
Well, you would think I learned my lesson. I made the same mistake
with Almar.
Yeah. I should have saved him for a long campaign, because he is the brother of my very first D&D character. And his story is that he's trying to bring his little brother back home because everyone wants him back. And his brother is kind of sort of dead, wandering the underworld, but he doesn't know that.
But we know that.
We very much know that. I find it so funny. Just a quick aside. Almar gets into so many situations where he almost dies. Like, literally, he's been cut up by books, chomped on by a catfish, fallen down a pit. Like, literally, this guy keeps falling into life or death situations, but he always comes out unscathed. It wasn't planned at all, but I find it so funny that the little brother, who was super cautious, super careful, is the one that ended dying. And the big brother, who throws himself headfirst into danger, always comes out the other end. And I'm like, ooh, tragedy-wise, this could really work. Will that moment ever come in a mini campaign? I have no idea. Maybe they'll be kind to let me bring him back for a long campaign. I don't know.
Well, you can bring back whatever characters you want. Half the time, the current DM of this micro campaign, he takes NPCs that he made and he plays them as characters, Mars. So, you know.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, Calazar? Calazar was an NPC he made in a previous campaign. So was Carlisle Ravencastle, who was with Thaddeus. Oh, exactly. There, dichotomy. He's no longer allergic. Hello, Oscar.
Hey, Oscar.
But, so with that, we can move on to sort of how I went about
very long-winded explanation.
Designing. We'll talk specifically about Miss Molly, but in general, when I take character commissions, essentially all but PCMs, who spent the 35,000 Seeds of Knowledge points, had no references, no visual references, right? And
can't draw for shit, so yeah.
But has no visual references. And now, so that does leave a certain amount of, 1, leeway on my part, and 2, sort of, you know, I have to ask a lot of questions, because it's much easier to get as much information up front than it is to sort of, you know, have it later on. Now, I will say a big thing that I ask, because a lot of people forget when I say, you know, describe your character to me, you know, how do they look? A big one I ask, because people forget, is eye color. A lot of people forget that one. And, the other one was like hairstyle, right? Especially if you have longer hair. Hairstyle. Is it just down? Is it up? Is it, you know, how is it? This sort of thing. All that sort of stuff.
As you can see in the case with Thaddeus, I completely didn't tell Ori what kind of hair I was envisioning.
I just went with literally what I knew about him, backstory-wise, and his sort of sub-race of tiefling. And that was sort of how we went. But, with Miss Molly, we had a lot more here. I made a sheet, a Google form, that is specifically what I give people to help them describe their characters to me. Because it literally goes down a list of questions that essentially I would ask, and it makes sure that I don't have to remember them all in my brain at any given time. And it means that they can do that at their own pace, and they don't have to, like, you know, constantly back and forth with me, and now I have to search for it and everything like that. I will say, a lot of colors usually do come down to aesthetics more than anything, right? So Miss Molly's red hair doesn't mean anything to Miss Molly, at least that I know of, unless Mars wants to bring that up. Like, it's just a doll thing, right? It means something to Mars because it references...
That was literally just a doll thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It means something to Mars because it references Raggedy Ann. That's where she got it from. But it means nothing to Miss Molly's character. We're not adding, like, these levels of depth, you know, to every little bit of them. But as you can see with how, you know, Mars talked about the apron, that's something that has to do with Miss Molly's background, Miss Molly's lore, and that sort of thing. The other big thing that I wanted to make sure to capture with Miss Molly was her being small, a little girl, right? She's a little child. She acts like a child, you know, she talks like a child. That was a big thing for Mars that she wanted to have, was that she is very childlike and this sort of thing. And now, I don't draw a lot of children, so I will say it was a little bit try to get, like, proportions and stuff, and I already see this sketch coming out a little older than I'd want it to, so we'll have to fix that. But those are the big things. So very big eyes, you know, very small body. That's what I'm going to have to do, is her, like, shoulders and everything is too wide for what my little design is, which I preferred, and this sort of thing. And that sort of adds to the doll and all that sort of stuff. Now, the one thing that Mars didn't say anything about the earrings, the little, like, stud earrings that I gave her, or this little handkerchief hair tie thing. Raggedy Ann doesn't really have bangs, but I think it gives a real childlike look to have those sort of cut off straight bangs, straight across.
It also emphasizes a smaller appearance as well,
Yeah.
because with the bangs, you've created a smaller forehead.
Exactly. So it sort of adds all to this childlike look. And that was the biggest thing I'm going for. With the little frills and the puff sleeves, that specific little, like, Mary Jane collar, and as you can see in the design, the socks, and that sort of thing. Now, what this
so much
design doesn't do, and this is a matter of preference, this does not promote her class, right? I want you guys, and now if you know the answer because you've been listening to us and you just have godlike memories and from when we've mentioned it before, don't answer, but everybody else...
Which is entirely possible.
Everybody else, what class... And now this is Pathfinder 2e, so I will say there's a little more classes than, you know, 5e has, but what class do you think Miss Molly is? That is the question. Fighter. All right.
Fascinating.
What class? No. That's grade dichotomy. That's not class. You just arrived, Paladin. We're looking at the design, right? This is what Miss Molly looks like. This sketch is essentially exactly what I want. But yeah, what sort of class do we think? Thank you. There you go, dichotomy. Now you know. A mage.
Hint,
okay.
I designed her off. Oh wait, no, class.
A wizard.
Okay, different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not the heritage Mars, the class. Mage.
I always confuse the two.
Okay, so I think everybody's sort of leaning towards some sort of magic. Yeah. So in Pathfinder, her class is a witch. Okay, now that isn't a 5e class, so, you know, magic is close enough when you get sort of chemistry. And I bet a lot of you are associating that specifically with this staff-like thing that I drew, and not the rest of her appearance. Because at least in my opinion, I wouldn't say that she necessarily, off her appearance, looks like a witch. She looks like a little girl. And that is important, in my opinion, for two reasons. One, Miss Molly is not first a witch. She's first a cook. And a little girl. Which is like a happy accident later down the line, at least my understanding of her character. So it's not sort of... Yeah, I can see that. We're going, you know, what's the word? Hollow Knight vibes there with the sewing needle. But, those are the sort of things that matter to her character. And so I think that it's very important when you look at your characters is you can put in a lot of effort to try and show that this character is a... Don't remember to ask which class. Yeah, I don't know where I dropped my child off. I dropped them off at school, and then they pick them up. That's how it works. I don't know where they go during that time. The teachers deal with that. But that's sort of the big thing, is that you can put a lot of effort into... Okay, I mean, that's a vibe enthuse. I can see Miss Molly that if she, like, aged like a normal person, like, and like, grew up sort of thing, I could see Goldilocks vibes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that kind of fairy tale-esque.
Yeah. Well, especially sort of like, you know, just wanting to be a family and do all this stuff and everything like that, you know, all that sort of thing.
And she does not like it when Lycorian casts fight. She's just like, please stop.
It's all Casimir's fault, okay? It's not mine.
Am I from what they call a broken home?
I mean, kind of, maybe. I don't know how your home life before that was. So, yeah. But, yeah, those are, like, the big things that sort of mattered to the design. Versus, you know, you can make a bard that very much embodies a lot of the sort of bard features you might think of, you might expect. But
well,
that
you
does
give
not...
them an instrument and you know immediately.
Exactly. You know, my first bard, Kazoo, which we can see in the middle here, if I can click away. Thank you. This guy, I don't actually know if you can see him because now my screen is gone. Yeah, you can. He has an ocarina. That is his thing. I feel like as far as my bards go, he is probably the most bard-like that I have drawn. Versus, to the left of him, this guy's also a bard, guys. He's also a bard. However, he was an eloquence bard, so his instrument was his speaking voice and his, you know, his eloquence in, you know, speech and deception and persuasion. So he doesn't look as much like a bard necessarily. Now in D&D, I don't know what else he would look like. Maybe the contract gives warlock vibes, you know, who knows.
I could see it.
Bard just has fine clothing and a microphone. Yeah, and then I don't know, all the way to the left we have another bard. This is Avisha. And so she's also a bard, but if anything, she looks probably the least like a bard. She looks like any other sort of magic class with the crystal orb and everything like that as being sort of a focus. So I think personally that it doesn't super matter when you're making your own personal characters what it sort of lines up with class-wise. What I think is more important is how the character... One, how you want the character to look. If I'm being honest, rule of cool comes first, in my humblest opinion.
Absolutely.
Because you're doing this for you and you alone, and I will say that over the years I have essentially... I do something with our tables characters and designs that I don't do with commissioner designs, with client designs. And that is take way more liberty.
All very
I
sexy.
take way more liberty. And not even that. I just take way more liberty. And what I mean by that is that no matter what Mars and Dylan and our other table members give me, I proceed to desire to go significantly more ham if possible. And I change things, you know, based on certain, you know, differences and just like I do take their specific preferences into mind. Like, if they don't want the anthro feet, I won't do it, but I'll be sad and call you lame. If you don't want a tail when you can have a tail, you know, same thing. I will call you lame. But I will give skin gradients and all these other things and everything like that. Runaway princess? Yeah, that sort of thing. Go, fix that evil evening. Have a good evening. And so those are the sort of things that I take liberty with. When I work with clients and things like that, I don't go as ham because they are giving me the, you know, the thing. Now, some people do specifically say, like, I want your personal ideas about that, but Mars and Dylan, they kind of have to live with it because I'm doing it all for free. So, the fact that they're getting art at all, they get to live with how hot or not hot or whatever I make their characters. That's just how it is. It's just how life is.
I would not be picky at all. It's all gorgeous.
I specifically made Miss Molly cute. I put in a lot of effort with her thing, so it is a little difficult.
I really threw you a curveball with this one.
But the other thing to think about when you are trying to express the class of a character, the big thing to think about is what you think about for a bard, right? Bard classically has that look with the hat, with the puffy sleeves. I mean, Scanlan from Vox Machina very much follows the bard look in his outfit, right? The popped collar with the deep V-neck, the poofy sleeves, he has the hat in like earlier art and this sort of that. He sometimes has his lute and the animation, etc. like that. It does depend on the era. So when you have more modern stuff, you can definitely go towards a lot of different musical sort of bands and stuff like that with like, punk and rock and, all these sort of things. You could even go country if you have like a guitar, because there is sort of like all those sort of things. But definitely the music portion, having an instrument, is definitely what allows most people to pick out of a lineup that this character is a bard. The other way you could do that is with the pose, right? So if the bard doesn't have an instrument, but they're singing, right? The bard doesn't have an instrument, but they're an acrobat, right? Those can lean more into bard, but when you start getting into like acrobat or, juggling, you can probably get away with. But acrobat, people might, maybe it's a rogue, who knows? Like you do start getting to more wishy-washy territory. It doesn't
clue you in right away.
But that doesn't mean it's bad. But it does just mean that, there's less of a fine, like 90% of people are going to say that this is a bard, and you are going to get more people that, ooh, I thought that could have been a rogue or anything like that. Which is fine. I don't think that's a problem, but, it's just something to think about. When you get sort of into paladins versus fighters versus, a lot of armor-wearing classes, clerics.
Imagine paladins with much heavier armor. Like, I'm thinking Lawis from Dungeon Meshi. Like, just head to toe.
No, Lawis is a fighter, but yeah.
I know he's a fighter, but he literally has armor going up to his collar. He's being swallowed up in that
There's
armor.
a reason for that.
That's
You'll
why...
find out later. I'm not going to spoil, but there's a big reason for his weird armor. But reheating mac and cheese.
But clearly, my interpretation of a paladin is different from others.
Exactly. I think that it gets a little wishy-washy between paladin and fighter, and sometimes cleric, because they're all very, at least in my mind, depicted as pretty armored in sort of, fantasy TTRPG spaces and everything like that. But you could also have a cleric if they are specifically a healer, and since they're known for healing, that leans more into healing roles, say, a nurse or a doctor, or, I had a third one that I've forgotten, but, those sort of things. Even like a therapist, I know that's a doctor, but, like you can go into levels like that. The one cleric that I have had, he was specifically a doctor, so I actually leaned into sort of, more, like historic doctors' outfits. And what's very funny about that is historic doctors' outfits are literally just men in really nice suits. I'm not joking. Look it up. They do not look like modern doctors at all. They look like really well-dressed, just, men. It's very
true.
Funny. Versus the nurses
amazing.
Of the same time period have very distinct, different outfits. The doctors are just well-dressed guys with briefcases and vests. And so that is what I based his design off of, and we can see here.
That was Za, right?
No, Za's a bard. It was Aeson.
Aeson, okay.
Aeson is the thing. Trading cards, legendaries. It's this one. Ooh. Anyone is free to ask any questions about essentially anything at any time, but we could also, I had an idea of play a game of what class you think each character is. These will all be D&D 5e characters, so you can guess. But this is the cleric. This is the cleric. The bell is a story, a campaign device. It's not something that he was built with. But his outfit specifically, I specifically did not want him to have full plate armor aesthetic. I did want him to have some kind of armor, but I didn't want it to cover up the specific look that I gave him of the vest, of the rolled up sleeves, of the watch. That was very important to me. Hello, Grenade. How are you?
Hey, Grenade.
And so, that evolved into he has splint mail as the aesthetic. He did have plate armor in the campaign, but the aesthetic of the splint mail was much more better, you know, visually, in my opinion. And so that's what he had. And so that's why I think it is very important as well. You can get cool items during your campaign, you know, you can get cool stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you do want or have to have them depicted with your character. Now, they certainly can be, but they don't have to be. And Aeson is a good example of that, where he did have full plate armor by the end of the campaign, for a significant amount of the campaign, but I never depicted him with it. Ooh, a Surgeon Paladin is interesting.
Ooh.
An Oopsie Paladin? I mean, vibe. I like that, though, dichotomy. I do like that. That's fun. Do we want to play the game of Guess That Class? We can. I have a few of these cards like this. And then we can sort of talk about the design choices.
Ori, I'm curious. I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So you mentioned the bell is more a campaign feature than it was like conceptual, like part of the original design. How, so you talked about the armor, but I'm wondering about like little items from the campaign. When you're portraying them, is it about like maybe a pose portraying how the item is used and telling a story through that? Or is it just more like, here's the item, this is a cool nod to what happened or what we used in the campaign? Like what, I guess, what's the thought process?
So in Aeson's case, so these, well, first of all, it matters that these cards are specifically what I'm calling legendary D&D, you know, character trading cards, okay? I physically print them out and laminate them, and they are the size of tarot cards, so they are on the larger side, and I physically give copies of them to people like Mars and the other table members who experience the campaign, or experience those characters. And so I do try to have it definitely give more of the full vibe of the character than just making a design. In this particular campaign that Aeson was a part of, there was we were collecting shards of glass. That's kind of why the name tag is that way, and the back is sort of shattered, because the sun was going to eat the earth because it was a demon. Basic stuff. So we were trying to collect the glass, and when you look in the boxes... There was a box that we could look into to sort of third-person view the world, and it would make you go insane while doing it. And we had found this item that was a bell, that by ringing the bell, it brought this person out of the insanity, it grounded them, and it allowed them not to go insane. So, however, you had to do a wisdom-related roll, and being the cleric, Aeson had the vastly highest wisdom out of the rest of the party, so he was the one that dealt with the bell, and so thus that was the thing he did, right? That was his marker of the campaign, versus unfortunately I don't have the drawings of the other two characters because we have not gotten there yet because there's a lot of characters, but the other ones would not have the bell at all because that's not what they did as their thing in the campaign. Right, so that's sort of how that comes in. The bell had, to my understanding, no design. I do ask the DM if they had any specific, you know, ideas for it. But, you know, in this case, it was just a bell, and I looked up ornate bells, ornate handbells, and, you know, the colors are, you know, his colors, red and purple, just, that's for aesthetic purposes, and everything like that. But let's play Guess That Class. Okay. We'll start with this one because we have it. No, we only have two characters from it. So we have. Do I have any without the name? I don't know. This is with effects. god, I have too many. Jesus, here it is.
Oh no.
Just 80 of them. Oh no, this one. Okay. Okay. What is this one's class? They are all 5e classes. Fighter. Okay. And you know what? I'd like you to state why. What makes you think that? Because I feel like that's a good design sort of exercise. Why do you think it's the sword? All right. Pirate is not a class, enthuse. But
I wish it were.
Out of you don't play D&D, I think, right, enthuse? So out of it's there's fighter, there's monk, there's paladin, there's barbarian, there's rogue, there's
Okay, Dichotomy thinks wizard.
Thinking wizard.
Why do you think wizard?
Yep. Swashbuckler rogue is a class. Mason says rogue. Dichotomy says Cartomancer from UA. Cartomancer is the map one, right?
Ah.
So you see the wizard because of... Oh, no, the card. Of the card. You see the wizard because of the card. That sort of thing. And he was kind of like a wand. Okay. I see. Yeah. Okay. We got there. Alright, so I think everybody who wants to answer has answered. So this is a rogue. He is a swashbuckler rogue. And so, so Enthuse is very spot on. Pirate. It was a pirate campaign.
Yes.
But... yeah, there you go. Exactly, enthused. So, mischievous.
This is Almar's little brother that died.
Yeah.
Horrifically.
Unfortunately for you, Dichotomy, the card is just like the bell. It is a campaign lore piece and not a character design piece. I would say most props are, basically said swashbuckler. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, swashbuckler. That's what he is. Biggest things that were important to that sort of design, obviously the pirate hat. The pirate hat is also a nod to he became the captain of the ship that we were at. He does not normally have a pirate hat. He normally had sort of this bandana tied around that does, give that sort of pirate vibe. The other big things is the frilly...
classic buccaneer.
Exactly. Classic buccaneer. See you, Cool Cat. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye, Cool Cat. Always good seeing you.
Having the sort of ruffles on the sleeves and of the, the neck and with the ties. That's a very sort of golden age of piracy vibe there. And you can't see in the card, but he does have boots. And so, those all point to pirate, which do point to, for those who know, swashbuckler role. Yeah, so he is what is known as a sea elf. So he's an elf, but he's a kind of elf, a subclass of elf. He's not a Triton. They do look different. However, I will say I pushed from what the base design of D&D 5e has for sea elves because honestly lame. So giving the fin ears was a me thing to push it. So yeah, being they are blue. That's literally it. They're like blue elves, essentially. Blue elves with, like, greenish hair. That's basically what they are described as, which is sad and boring, guys. So that's what it is. The rapier, I would also say, personally, points to rogue. To me, all those sort of fencing, swords, the rapier, the S-stock, the other one that I'm not remembering for some reason.
Well, it's also significant character because he used his rapier the most.
Well, yeah. And specifically, this sword was not designed for Alar. This sword was designed and then given to Alar, and so it specifically is an item that I designed. For those who follow the Origami Curio on Instagram, it's called the Arc Coil S-Stock, and that is from this campaign. So yeah, the card is essentially is the equivalent of the Deck of Many Things death card, but basically sent us to the demon world where we fought a demon and lost, and that's why he died.
Yep.
That is very true, Dichotomy. Exactly it is. But I still feel it maybe it is just from D&D, but it definitely gives, it gives me, Dread Pirate Roberts vibes, right? Also, the rapier does, because that was that whole thing. I would say that Inigo Montoya was also a rogue,
oh, yeah.
all that sort of vibes. So I think it did come outside of that.
when it came to designing Alar, I knew we were doing a pirate campaign, but this was also my first D&D campaign. So I didn't know, like, what should I flesh out? What should I leave vague? How much do I leave open for, like, character growth and stuff? So the biggest thing I went in with idea-wise for him was he is a pirate, but he is also nervous and out of his element, because I was nervous and out of my element. So I figured if I just play how I'm feeling, that should work.
And then he became captain of the ship, and he knew how Kazoo felt being a leadership role.
Yeah,
I'm very not ready.
Okay, I gotta ask, who was in charge of the campaign where Kazoo became leader?
Doug.
Okay. I was gonna... Oh, yeah, because Dylan's character died during that one.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the options. It's me, Dylan, or Doug. Those are the options.
I was going to say, they have a thing for putting the least experienced person in charge.
Nope, it's just what happens. But all right.
But I can't say that because it's not the same person running the campaign.
All right. We have another one here. This is the same campaign, thus it has the same background. But this is another character. What class do we think he is? So we have like fighter, barbarian, monk, rogue, artificer, wizard, warlock, sorcerer, bard, cleric, a new pirate. Yeah,
many
exactly.
lovely options.
Like someone we know. Wizard, okay. Do you have a reason why, Mason? Or is it just given that vibe? You've been taught that props don't count. It's these specific cards dichotomy are not the best for that sort of like going one way or the other. The robe is giving off magic. Okay, yeah, nice. Paladin, a book. Okay, okay, I see.
Okay, all right.
And warlocks have sneaky secrets. Okay, I see where everyone's going here. Yeah, these cards are specific. They're not cards for character design. They are meant to have lore purposes in them, so it does get kind of muddy there. But I think that's everybody who's been wanting to talk tonight. So Mason is right, a wizard. Now, dichotomy, I will give to you that he did make a pact with a demon. So you're not far off in the vibe, but class-wise, he did originally be a wizard. The book is his book, but that sort of thing. But the tattoo, you are 2 for 2, Mason. So far, you're winning. The tattoo and this thing coiled around his finger here are lore-related things. He was never a Wizlock in practice, just in lore. But the book and this little bone finger thing are actual wizard things. Yes, the robe is very that sort of wizard vibe. I think robes and long flowing things are very wizard-like. I would also say that not having armor is specifically very wizard-like, and that sort of thing. I think those really are important to that character. Now, he was a Simic hybrid. He specifically had the little hair thingies that allow him to climb, so that's not really a visible thing to show, but he also could swim and have gills, so you can see those on his neck there. I like giving them pointy teeth and everything like that, and those are the basics things. I personally probably wouldn't have chosen orange and black for the characters' robes. That was the player's decision, so you do sort of have to go with things there, but I don't think it looks bad. It's just not my personal choice for what I would have done for the thing. I believe you said it first, Dichotomy. I'll believe you. Alright, so there's that one. And of course, guys, if you have any questions about decisions or anything like that, please don't hesitate to speak up. Right,
designing a character, writing backstories, or just questions in general. We'll take anything.
Exactly. Alright, this is a different campaign now. This is another one of Mars's characters. What class do we think this is? So we'll go down the list alphabetically this time. Artificer, Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, Druid,
Druid.
Fighter.
Fighter.
G.
Crap.
Monk.
I feel like you skipped a couple.
Paladin. I don't think so. A lot of them are at the end of the alphabet.
Wizard.
Yeah, wizard, warlock, rogue. Gonna go druid, and then you spotted the shell armor. Thinks ranger. There, ranger's another option. Mason says druid. Do you have a reason, Mason? And then, yeah, we have the shell armor. We have little plant friend. You don't see Mars. It's not a character design thing, but you can certainly think that way. Dichotomy.
You don't see me going ranger over druid for real?
It's too meta. It's a little meta. Sticking with ranger. Plants make you think druids. I can see that. Definitely. Enthused, do you have an answer, or sitting this one out? Oh, cleric. Despite the knife and the callus, they look like a healer with natural cures. Okay, I can see. So I think that's everybody who, unless somebody else is totally, anybody can chime in at any time. But yes, this is a druid. Mason, 3 for 3. Going nuts.
Mason.
Mason, 3 for 3.
I think Mason has learned your design.
Learned my vibes, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So this is a Fearbulg. I make them a lot furrier and animal-like than... Okay. This is the problem dichotomy. Druids can use metal, it just says sometimes they don't. However, it was specifically a lore item. You're gonna kill me by the end of this dichotomy. I can hear you sharpening your own knife, ready.
It's also not a knife, it's a letter
ready
opener.
to slit my throat. Yes, it's a letter opener, but it is metal, I know. That was sort of vibe of the campaign. And, but you would be right, dichotomy. Mars chose druid, so you know, you had some meta there. Now I will say, in this case, Gilith, it's also very interesting, says of the Iron Triangle, says also thing. They're like paw pads. They're toe beans enthuse. Little toe beans. Yeah, dichotomy, exactly. Because I went ham, Mars gave me...
animal.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, she needs to have toe beans if you're making her this animalistic.
Yeah, and we going ham. But Gilith has a bit of an interesting sort of druid backstory, in my opinion, compared to, like, what you might think a classic druid has. She comes from a small town, but so she dresses, you know, like a small peasant farmer sort of vibes, right? And the shell armor is sort of, you know, just given a little armor. She got some sort of things along the way, but it gives that sort of animal vibe as well with the druid and everything like that. But that's why she sort of has the vest and the rolled up sleeves and isn't sort of like fully, you know, forest creature vibes. The plant friend is also a campaign thing. However, she did make friends with it, and that's why she gets to hold it in her art. All right. This
I
one...
think Gilith is my favorite, honestly.
Gilith's your favorite? Well, maybe we'll get to Miss Molly being your favorite. We just have to get time.
Oh, I love playing her. Like, I know she's going to be a favorite as well.
This one might be easy for dichotomy, but let's look at this one. This is Calazar. What class do you think he is? Ms. Molly is for a full campaign enthuse. We're taking a current break from it because Dylan is the DM and he's still sitting for the bar. But once he's back, we will be back to that. So she still has a lot of story to go. So again, the options are Artificer, Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk. Yeah. Monk, he said Rogue, Ranger, Paladin. Yeah, that's why I said it was going to be easy for you, dichotomy. Rogue, Ranger, Paladin, Wizard, Warlock. Am I forgetting it? Sorcerer. Those are all options here. I will say I'm very, very proud of the scale texture in his body. That was a long time. Paladin for the scripture, and also the armor. Nice. Okay. Thank you. You just looking at that? I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with how this one came out. Sadly, Blue doesn't print particularly well because printers are stupid. But such is life.
There are a lot of colors that struggle on a printer to look good.
Yeah, it's a rough time. Mason, did you pick? Do you want to pick? He has the armor. He has the little thing he's doing, drawing. He's got the feather, the paper, all this sort of stuff.
He's in his pose, doing his thing.
Give a little second. Check over here. And then we'll see. This is Calazar, the Sorrow Slayer. We can say Sorrow Slayer because he killed the dragon Morose, which is for sorrow and melancholy and that sort of thing. It's called the Sorrow Slayer. And he liberated his people. That's his whole thing. But alright, Dichotomy, I think you're safe to say your answer. Yep, there you go. Rune Knight, fighter. Yes, so he is a fighter, but you are close, Enthusiast. You can see where you're going with Paladin. He is a fighter. The map is, unfortunately, a lore prop. He was the cartographer of the group, and he drew in the thing. But the rune he's drawing shows the Rune Knight fighter that Dichotomy says.
What's the best friggin' mechanic ever?
The map drawing? You guys like that?
Because the map actually had Calazar's little drawings all over it.
So I drew a map for the world.
Personalized. It was great.
Yeah, I don't think I
would print that out and frame that, honestly.
Yeah, so maybe I can find it if we want to see it.
I feel like it would give everyone a good laugh.
Alright.
There were some gems in there.
I think it's campaigns. Post haste. Nope, not in there. Okay. We'll see if I can find it. Ah, no worries. He is a fighter, Mason. Okay, here it is. So this. Let me see which one it is. When was that one made? I think it's this one. This is what it started out as. This is the map of the world that they were all in. This is the map that they were given. They had all of the information that is on this map because they were literally given this map in the game. I made it too big now. There we go. Now it fits nicely. That is the map they were given. Okay, and then at the end of the campaign, which I have to find, which I think is this one. This is the last map that they had. You will open up, please. No, it won't do it for me. Oh, there it is. And this is what the map looked like at the end of the campaign. You guys might not be able to see very well, but you can draw all in here. These were little drawings that that Calazar's character made on the Roll20 thing, and then I eventually, after a certain period of time, would translate into nice, neat ones because, you know, Roll20 and a mouse kind of sucks. But I would also, these little stamps are stamps of these sort of
kind of missions.
Yeah, the missions that they got, and they were crossed out with this black scratch mark stamp after they were completed. And so this is their whole, you know,
very video
everything
game, now that I think about
drawn on it. So orange is Calazar. Pink is Dylan's character Ostrogor. Purple was this goblin they found, who gave them some updated information here. Yellow was another goblin they found. So you have all these things. And that was the map. I opened too many of them. Oh, it looks like Spain. But yeah, there you go. Alrighty. We'll go back to...
So there's another element of designing the world.
Go back to class.
But perhaps that's a discussion for another night.
It's a different thing. Whoops. Can we stop? Thank you. Alright. What class do we think this guy is? We can go down the line again. It's Artificer, Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. A fantasy geography someday? I could try. I could certainly try. Not sure how good that would be, but, you know, if people want it, we can do what the people want. Alright. Don't know what that would necessarily I mean, you could ask your questions now if you have questions, but...
There's always time for questions.
Yeah. Do we have any idea what this guy could be? I will point out that as this weapon he has here is the gem haunt, which is a item that is on my Origami Curio Instagram page as well. So that is literally magic related warlock. Okay, I see. Rogue, you get a magic vibe. So warlock. Okay, we're leaning warlock.
Okay. We got one for warlock.
You got two for warlock, maiden and
two
dichotomy.
For warlock. Okay.
Oh, you're locking rogue? Okay. Can't double up. All right. Understandable. And then we'll see if Enthuse has any idea. But he's a bugbear, which Dylan requested to be very fully furred. That was very specific that he wanted with these very long ears versus other bugbears that I have drawn do look very different. So it is all dependent on, you know, preference there. While there is sort of a general idea. Another warlock, magic but evil. He's missing his half cape over the shoulder. So he does have a cape, it's just hard to see versus in the sort of panel. But he is dichotomy a rogue. He is the rogue that I can't remember. This Soul Coin Rogue, Phantom Rogue. That's the word I want.
Phantom Rogue. There you go.
Phantom Rogue. Exactly, dichotomy. Exactly.
I nearly said Ghost Rogue. And
yeah,
I was like,
I mean, that's what he is.
That's
the Ghost
not right.
Rogue, the Phantom Rogue. And his soul tokens are coins because he specifically had this whole arc about being Charon, the ferryman of the dead. And so that is who he is. This was Dylan's character. And so he picked a lot of purples and blues. He very much wanted the very dark, brown fur and everything like that. But I completely designed the gem haunt, but it was for him specifically. It was specifically for his character. Hello, welcome back, Oscar.
Hey, Oscar.
All right.
Glad you're back.
We have two more.
Only two more?
I think so, yeah.
Only wow. We went through those quickly.
Is a newer one you guys might have seen. What is this class? We again have Artificer, Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Fighter. I always screw up here. It is Dylan's character though, so yes. This came well before. Oh, Bard, Sword Bard or Valor Bard? Okay. We are enjoying the night, Oscar.
Oh, very much so.
Very happy of the backgrounds I did for these cards, though.
They look so damn good.
Alright, Dichotomy, alright. You can call me out. Does have fancy Bard energy. I am very happy with this perspective and everything. I'll also say I'm so happy with this skull reflection on the sword here, on the rapier here.
So damn good.
Thinking Bard as well. Is that a cravat? It is a cravat. Just like Edgeworth. This is before Dylan knew about Edgeworth, though. This is a very old character. Plus Tiefling is good charisma. That is true. That is true. Alright, we're going Bard.
Can't go wrong with that.
Are you locking in Bard Enthuse? Yeah, this is the newest card. I get to draw another card. You saw Dylan is nowhere in Edgeworth? I don't know. I don't know. He decided to change it. He never told me. He just did it on his own. He didn't even say anything. He was done being Edgeworth. Well, you're right, Dichotomy. I am gonna tell you it's not a bard. He is a Hexblade Warlock. Now, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say about the swap. First thing, Dylan doesn't like to play bard. It's very sad, I know, but more bard for me, you know? But the second thing is
then
that
you don't have overlap of bard.
You're not gonna enjoy Drace when I draw him because he's gonna also have that bard energy, but he's a sorcerer. But what you don't, what you're not thinking about, Dichotomy, is both of those classes, including bard, have charisma as the stat guy. And what did this guy do? What was Koss here doing? He was making deals. He was being the devil that he was, making deals, making contracts, signing all that stuff. So he had to be suave. Then he died, and it was all my character's fault. And it traumatized my character forever, for the rest of life, and it was very bad, and he had a bad time. But
to be fair, I see why Kazoo liked him.
He saved him. Double day. Sorry, Mason, you lost the streak. Well, there's one more to redeem yourself. But yes, no, I know, Dichotomy. This is a very, very tame, character design. This is the first character, technically the second. This is the second character I ever drew for Dylan. And Dylan's first character was a half-elf. So boring, It's boring, it's sad. I have transformed, my art grew. Everybody is, yeah, exactly. Very hot, very top tier, very happy.
She got everyone into the leggies and
the teeth and the all this sort of stuff. But we have one final. What class is that? And that is this one, which I'm also very proud of. This is from the same time. This is a different campaign again. You can tell the different campaigns by the backgrounds. He is also a bugbear. What class do you think he is? I think Dichotomy will get this one, but we will see.
You could do it, Dichotomy.
You couldn't tell you're disappointed in him. How do they go to the bathroom? Bidets, Oscar. Bidets, obviously. Bidets. But again, we have Artificer, Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Monk, Fighter, Ranger, Paladin, Rogue, Warlock, Ranger, Mason. Alright. Hootie Belt. Yes, this is the Hootie Belt. Warlock, Wizard, Sorcerer. These are all good options.
See.
As you can see, I went ham with feathers. We love the feather texture in there. Ooh, so nice.
Fighter with a friend.
Fighter with a friend. We love our friends. I mean, I became a summoner the second I could, so, we love our friends. You gonna guess, Dichotomy? Is that a fish eating a fish emoji, Oscar? That sounds like cannibalism. All of this when he's obviously a striptease. Gotta be a ranger. Alright, locked in. Dichotomy and Mason. Correct. Ranger. So you only got one wrong, Mason. You still did really well. Which is... I know. Also, a lot of birds eat birds. A lot of life is cannibalism. But technically not, because of my understanding, cannibalism has to be the same species. But there's still a lot of cannibalism, so you know how it is. But, yes, Beastmaster Ranger. This is another bugbear. And so you can see sort of the couple of design elements I kept the same. probably without the player's consent, but again, these are all free, so they can go suck it. The beast-like nose.
Wow.
That's how it is. You guys are getting hours of my life for free.
Oh, I'm not complaining.
So if I'm gonna add a little beast nose, that's what we're gonna do. And but yeah, he doesn't have a fully furred face. So he's more classic to some of the other bugbears you see, versus Dylan before had requested the fully furred face and thus the furred ears. Dylan's Ostrogor's ears go much more upright out of the top of his head, and this one you can kind of see here. They go out of the side a little bit there, that sort of thing. But I kept, of course, the clawed fingers, very important. The little tusks we like. Yeah, there you go, aquarium. And there you go. And the long eyebrows, very important. Yeah, fish tank. All right. The pendant and the ring are both lore items. And that's how it is. There you go. This is one of the only 2-player campaigns I ever played in. I was the other player and Dylan was the DM. And even though it was a micro campaign, it is one of my favorite campaigns. It's great. But all right. Any questions? That was all the ones I have. Well, technically, I have 2 more if we really wanted to, and they're more character design things. But otherwise, are there any questions? And if you want to play again,
with different characters.
With different characters, yes, never the same characters. That would be too much. But yeah. Otherwise,
I'm trying to think of a question for you, Ori, but it's taken me a hot minute.
Oh, dare you. This is your only job tonight, Mars. No, I'm joking.
Let me see.
I was thinking about that dichotomy. It seemed like people had fun, so if that is something you guys would want to do, you can certainly do that.
So, when you're taking commissions from people, obviously when you're doing our cards, you have things that you prioritize, like including little lore bits and stuff is very important to you because that's the heart of the story. When you take commissions from people, what do you feel is the trend that they prioritize? Like, do you feel like there's a general consensus of what most people will prioritize when asking for a commission, or?
I will say a lot of times there is a lot of asking questions on my end, right? Like, how do you want the character to look? How, these sort of things. I find, and this is a trend even with you guys, and is that when I ask people what they want their character to, describe their character to me, the first thing that people do is talk about their demeanor. And you can see it with Mars as well. Mars went down the rabbit hole of lore with the character that she talked about, right? That, because it does, especially with Ms. Molly, lean a lot into their thing. Demeanor, Oscar, is like how you act, right? Are you, personality, are you happy, go lucky? Are you kind of shy? These sort of things. So they talk more about their character's personality and their lore. And I think the reason for that is probably because if they're commissioning me 90% of the time, it's because they can't draw it themselves. So they're not thinking about it as much, right? And it's interesting that way. And they leave out a lot of, key details, like I said, eye color and these sort of things. And the reason that I do ask and not just go and choose an eye color if I'm not, if they don't tell it to me right away. The reason I ask is because a lot of time people have thought about it, but they don't. Hello, Derek. They don't think about it at that moment, right? If I were to ask someone what their character, describe your character to me, and this could be another fun game too. Yeah, demeanor is like behavior, so Mars, why don't you tell me Miss Molly's demeanor?
So Miss Molly's demeanor, she is very much a child. One of the things that informed her demeanor / personality is that she is a wishborn. So I kind of went for the typical, like, okay, we got a little amnesia. She doesn't remember her previous life, kind of story going. But she does have a life that she has lived. You know, she's been at this restaurant. She's worked at it. She has a, like, I know what the customer wants type of personality. She's very confident in her cooking abilities, and she gets it from working at that restaurant. But there is this whole previous life that she had that, well, I mean, she found out about it a lot quicker than I thought she was going to. Um, but originally, when the campaign started out, she had no idea that she had lived a previous life. She had no idea that she was a reincarnated soul, essentially. So I definitely leaned into the child aspect where she is a little bit naive.
I think that's the big one.
When they tell her, like, oh, we have to avoid the traps, we have to hop from one to the other, she immediately equates it to a game and she gets excited, like, oh, I can't wait to play. And then, like, Corey's like, yes, just don't lose this one because the losing will not be fun at all.
Mm-hmm.
It will result in death.
So Enthuse asked an interesting question, and it was kind of broad, but it is, if they were to make a D&D character, where should they start? Personality, design, trauma, relevance to plot, relevance to setting, etc. And well, I think that's a very good question.
Clearly.
I think it doesn't have a specific answer. I also would say that
full seriousness, I agree.
Yeah. I would also say that certain things that you listed, sort of like relevance to plot, depend on your dungeon master. And the reason I say that, and the kind of campaign you're in, and the reason I say that is this. Currently, our table is in a interim period because our DM, Dylan, cannot DM right now because he is knee-deep in bar prep, and it's a week away, less than a week away.
Holy crap.
Less than a week? No. A week and a half away. Math. Sorry, to do math. But it's coming. It's happening. It's going. It's soon.
Damn.
And, so, yeah, he can't DM. So this campaign specifically was not meant to have a lot of world lore, a lot of story, elements going on. So I put zero effort into my character's backstory. I said, I want to play this class, I want to play this subclass, and I like the aesthetic of this race and like heritage and those, and so it was all about the build, like Dichotomy was saying. For me, this case was all about the build. And I would say 90% of the time for me, I make the statistics first and the character second, right? For me, it is, I'll go, I want to play a bard, and then I decide on what race that is and what subclass it's going to be and those sort of things. And then off of that, I make the character. Yeah, Derek is saying the same thing, making the mechanical first. Yeah, Dichotomy, exactly. Mars and I, our table is very much a, what would be considered, a min-max table. We like to have characters that are not necessarily perfected, because in ideal case there's no right answer, but ones that are, synchronous to themselves. Not necessarily with each other, that's another thing you can do, but the idea that my character is a good bard, right? I'm not a bad bard. And now the reason we do that is because the DMs that we have are lethal, and they do have no qualms, except me, I'm sentimental, but the other two have no qualms with killing you. So you need to be good, because otherwise you drag down the whole thing. But when it comes to backstory and things like that, your backstory, while it can help you, and to a certain extent how you play your character, very much in Miss Molly's case, very big thing with the backstory, very much in Alar's case, as Mars has done, it very much, hello Shadow, good evening. It has very much, inspired how she plays those characters. I usually don't put a lot of effort into my backstory, because I think of a general idea of the demeanor of my character, and then I kind of find them a little along the way. That's the fun for me personally. Now, my long campaign characters do have a certain level of backstory, because the DMs we have do like to utilize people's backstories, and the more in-depth backstory you have with characters that can come up and things that can come up in the campaign, DMs who like to do that story-wise will use those things. So if that's something important to you, then it is. I'm here for the physical character interactions with the party and the NPCs that the DMs create, so the backstory is less important to me in general. However, every once in a while, I've had an idea where it's like, this is a general idea, and we build a class around that, and we build the mechanics around that. Mars did that with Miss Molly. Dylan was asking Mars, what do you want to be? And Mars went, I want to be something that cooks good food and is like a chef thing and all of this sort of stuff. And so based on that desire of how she wanted to flavor the character, we got to witch, because it had good crafting and all this sort of stuff, and there's a lot of like, you could make potions and all these sort of things. So because it's an intelligence class, exactly, flavor, exactly. Double meaning. And yeah, those sort of things. So it really depends on you, Enthuse. I would say, I
find personally, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I find personally, because I don't have a ton of experience with D&D, I find it helps me to have a backstory going in, because then that informs how I will play the character going forward. Like, if I know Miss Molly is naive, then that's how I'm going to play her. But if I don't know that going in, I might kind of like flip-flop between ideas in the middle of a session. And to me, even though like that's allowed, obviously there's some wiggle room before you find your personality. To me, it feels like a break in continuity. So I like to have something from the get-go that remains consistent until... Good night, Derek. I like to have something that remains consistent until there's a plot change.
So Enthuse asked how fleshed out to make the backstory, and I think it is very important. The backstory
that very much
is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay? The backstories that DMs will love you for have unfinished business, have characters that can show up, but are not completely and utterly, like you have, super fleshed out. A good example is, I think, Dylan's, Dylan, Mars's, and Doug's character from the campaign that I DM'd. Dylan's character, Ostrogor, was the rogue, and his backstory was that, and this is, I'm very breaking it down, he wrote more words, but I'm very breaking it down to the ideas. He was part of an assassin's guild, trained by his father. Now, he did give me the classes and subclasses of these people. That is extra bonus because Dylan's a nerd, and he has essentially the entire 5e handbooks until, the space ones completely memorized. So, that's a little bonus there. But his father disappeared, and he is out looking for him. And he named his father. His name was Jebrick. Ostrogor now also has a brother who shunned the dubious ways of the Assassin's Guild and became a law enforcement officer. Now, Dylan did do this because he wanted to make the long arm of the law joke with the bugbears, and he did give me a specific class and subclass that specifically thwarted his player class and subclass. Again, not necessary to do that step. Dylan's just a big nerd. But the point is that I had two characters that we did not know the whereabouts. One that was hunting the player character, and one that the player character was looking for and had some sort of manipulating attachment to. So I could use Jebrick, the father, to manipulate Ostrogor. Whether that's him almost dying, or writing letters to him, or these sort of things. I could also have the brother cause issues, where if they do things that break the law, now the brother's on their tail. That's consequences. He also, having the Assassin's Guild, gives him an idea where, a good DM would allow him to have sort of these under contacts, right? He wants to find some shady business. He has, a little rep in that, right? Those are the important things. How much or how little you want to write in between that is your personal preference, right? Exactly. So, have the important things locked in, and then let there be wiggle room, but let it be open-ended. It's not the end, it's not the end. It's the beginning of why you are adventuring the way you are.
I feel like my rule of thumb with backstories is have an idea of where you came from, because that's going to inform your actions and your personality. Have an idea of why you're on this adventure, because that's the reason for the season, so to speak. That's why you're doing what you're doing. And then I think, as Ori said, have some kind of unresolved conflict. So for Miss Molly, she's out looking for her father right now. Now, a little bit of spoilers, she doesn't know her father has died. He just kind of up and disappeared one day, and she's like, oh, dad left. He'll come back soon, and then never did. So her child mind is like, oh, I gotta go out and find him and bring him home. She's in for one hell of a shock. But I feel like if you have those three things not necessarily nailed down, but just a rough idea of them, then that can inform the character going forward. Like for Gilith, she, like Ori said, came from a kind of farming village, and her personality was that she cared about nature, being a druid, but she also really wanted to help people. And that was just her base personality. Like, she really wanted to help people at her village. That informed a development later on. But then, as part of her backstory, so she was a courier,
a male person, a fantasy male person. That's what they were. I won't sugarcoat it.
No, literally fantasy male person. Our whole campaign was delivering mail, and it was amazing. But in her backstory, she had met a courier and was very inspired by them. So she wanted to go off on a journey to prove herself. She wanted to prove she could do a little bit more than just farm work. So that was kind of the loose end that was left behind. Like, everyone told her, don't go, don't go, don't go. She's like, I have to do this for myself. And they're like, okay, she'll be back, and then she'll come, she'll settle back in, we'll be able to ask her for help again, and she'll solve all our problems. It'll be fine. So things were able to develop from there.
The important things, I think, from Gillis' backstory that made it a good backstory for a DM were she had a character that inspired her, that very much could still be alive, this courier that came to her village. She also had internal conflict, which was she wasn't sure if the town appreciated her for her, or if they were just kind of subtly manipulating her because she was useful. Yes. And those were two things that I could use, especially in my very open-ended campaign, that was bringing her to the village, giving her things that she could use to try and see whether they were lying to her.
Boy, did you use it to your advantage.
Mm-hmm. But now I will say, you don't necessarily have to have specific characters. A good DM can add characters. And that is sort of like, for Gillis' purpose, in Gillis Town, again, she really didn't talk about anybody in the town. I made up these people that are like the mayor and the mayor's son, and I would tell Gillis specifically, you would know this about him. You would know he's acting off. I might give her advantage on certain checks that I wouldn't give other characters because she would know them, right? And that's sort of a whole thing. I think that depends on what kind of person you are. Dylan, probably constantly enthuse. So enthusiasts, do you typically have pre-made characters on standby for a campaign, or do you come up with them specifically for the campaign? I feel like it's an interesting question. And it really depends. I had one character that I never got to play, I never will get to play because we changed over to the Pathfinder. And that's okay, because honestly I wasn't married to the idea, but it was a fun idea that I was going to be sort of this hero that's classically, like, sealed away in stone and a legend, and I would be like, come back in the world's greatest time of need. But I was sealed in stone for however many freaking years, so I'm hella rusty and I have no idea what the current world is like, and I'm very old-fashioned and it's really overwhelming. So that was the idea, this bard I had, and he was going to be my next character, but we changed to Pathfinder and I don't regret it, but so it doesn't matter. Otherwise, for me, I usually have, because we talked about it, I have the mechanics I want down first. I know in the next campaign, I want to play a class in Pathfinder called the Investigator. And it is specifically, literally, I get to be Gumshoe. like I'm here. I literally get to be a private investigator. I literally get to be a detective. It's really epic. I really want to do that.
This is interesting because this is very much a personal choice. You focus on mechanics. That is never the first thing that comes to my mind. Like, with the whole cooking thing, I thought of that first and then was like, okay, let's see if we find something that fit.
What I think is interesting about it, though, is the fact that all I have is that I want to play an investigator. I don't know what heritage, the personality, the stats. Like, I don't even know what stats I would end up with. I have no backstory. All I know is that I want to play this class next, right? That is just my personal preference. Besides that, I don't know the character until much closer to the thing. However, I think a very good example where we definitely, all of us at the table, made characters kind of for the campaign is for the pirate campaign. The Watery Grave that Dylan DM'd. We knew it was going to be pirates. We were all very excited for it to be pirates. And thus, because of that, we all made characters that had swim speeds.
We did. We came to that one prepared.
We came to that one prepared, and thank God we did, because otherwise there would have been a lot more drowning involved. But,
we thus fell into so much freaking water.
Yeah, and thus, so we all sort of had this sort of vibe to it, but it still wasn't. Now, I think a very good example is there is a actual play podcast that, if you know Cinderblock Sally, you've seen him. He played with us with Tangled Tower. He plays in an actual play podcast called Unbalanced Encounters Rally. They made characters specifically for that campaign and story that the DM made. And why am I saying this? The world is particularly low magic, because that has to do with the story. So they specifically picked classes. None of them are full casters. None of them at all. 2 of them are martial, and 2 of them are half casters. So those characters and their backstories were specifically tied and specifically made with the DM. Like, the DM and them were talking together specifically for the campaign. I have personally never done that because I like the idea of being a character and I get to flesh out my interactions with the other characters and that sort of thing and do a sort of thing. But that's really down to personal preference and the DM's preference as well. And yeah, there's no reason to not bring back characters that you have played before. Like Mara said, she would want to play Almar in a long campaign. Our one table member who played a character called Neathel originally played a character called Shakar, and Neathel is literally like Shakar, but he knows how to play D&D now. That's not a joke. That's literally essentially what it was. So you could do something like that too, where it's basically the general idea of the character, but maybe you didn't like the stats or something like that, or
it's like,
you want to
had
the
fun
backstory
with this
a little
character,
bit.
And now I know how to play, so I'm gonna bring it back and see if I do better this time.
Personally, I won't replay characters. That's a me personal preference. I have the fun of making the new characters and having those character interactions. So to me, trying to play a character I've already had character interactions with, even though it would be with new characters, is not as fun for me. But that's a completely personal preference and nothing else. Yes, okay, Grenade. Yes, in base D&D, it does take long to drown. However, all of us think that's stupid, so we made it so it takes... There's a lot more drowning things in our thing.
Yes. We're ruthless like that.
Oh, hello. New people. Hello, Poke9er. Hello.
Oh,
you're the same
hi.
color as Dichotomy. That's why my brain wasn't working. I'm like, it's the same color. Hello. Welcome, welcome. We're just talking about character design and, you know, any questions you have about that would be great. Not the mechanics specifically, but everything else.
Yeah, Dichotomy, I agree with that. If I were playing Almar in a long campaign, that would feel fulfilling because then he would get his time in the sun, he'd have a chance to explore his backstory, the DM could, you know, do some character development things with him to enact a change. With a micro campaign, you sometimes get that. And I've alluded to it with Almar. Like, he stayed a couple times, oh, I'm searching for my brother. Oh, this was the family business, blah, 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 blah. But I can't go too in depth because that's not the point of this mini campaign. So I agree. I would definitely bring back Almar because I think there is just so much potential there story-wise.
And it's very funny you guys say that. What's interesting is how our table deals with micro campaigns. We almost never play one-shots. I can only think of a single time where we've done a one-shot. And that is a very specific kind of thing. Yeah, that was the Halloween one. And that was a very specific sort of case where one-shots, you're not getting those character interactions because you have a time limit, essentially.
Yeah.
You have in this one session, we have to get from A to B and do the story. We're not getting to laze around and have all those funny interactions and have all those stuff together. So you're not getting the same stuff. As a group, we almost solely play micro campaigns because that ends up being what we sort of have. We have long stretches of time where we can't have a player or the DM has to change, etc. And those, I could talk about that kind of in a second grade because that's an interesting thing. So depending on how many players you have and how long the micro campaign is, that depends on how much interaction you have. I had a campaign, it was a micro campaign where I was a player, it was 3 sessions. Now, they were on the longer side of sessions, at least one of them was, but it was me and one other player. And those 3 sessions, I felt that he is just as fleshed out in personality, not in backstory, literally he has non-existent backstory. As a character, the interactions I had with that other player are some of my favorite that I will, you know, remember forever. Their dynamic, their whole thing, and everything like that. However, when you get, now you have 4 players in a 3-session campaign, because there's more people, the math, there's less time, and so you still start to get into that, like, there's not enough time to have the interactions. However, I DM'd a micro campaign for our table that was 4 sessions with 3 characters, and there is still a lot of funny character interactions that that group had together that are memorable. So I think it really depends, and that's why I would say, me personally, there's not a character that I would want to play again, and that is because, except maybe in a one-shot, and half the time with one-shots I'm like experimenting with mechanics more than backstory, I wouldn't want to play them again. But as you can see, Mars sort of just went ham with Almar, and it was just not for the campaign.
And then I realized, I was like, oh, I should have saved this.
Out of all of the things.
Why did I decide this was a good idea?
So, D&D Cinematic Universe. The answer is yes and no, Grenade. In the campaigns that I have DM'd, they, to me, do all exist in the same world. But I agree with Dichotomy. I have, yes, there is a character that always shows up. His name is Arnold Lemonsworth, and he was created in a really stupid goof conversation that Dylan and I had over the phone while we were driving in a car. And to me, every campaign that I play or DM in has an Arnold Lemonsworth. Now, how can it have an Arnold Lemonsworth? He can look like anybody, he can be any class, he can do anything, because he's a warlock, that he is himself his own patron. I'm not going to get into the whole lore, but so it is fun to me to pick a character, an NPC, in each campaign that I feel is Lemonsworth, right? So every campaign that I've been in, and definitely every game I've DM'd in, it's a whole thing. Well, Grenade, I have a campaign that has a timeline. The post-haste campaign actually has a campaign that is unfortunately left unfinished at the moment, but ideally will move into Pathfinder and get picked up eventually. That is technically a prequel to the main campaign, and so that's a really fun time. I did a group with my college group, the first group of people that I ever played D&D with. I had 2 campaigns where, yes, they were a timeline, and it specifically dealt with the characters that they played previously. Oh, yes. No, dichotomy, I could go on about being lemon-worthy. You know, like, it's a whole... it's a whole thing. I played a Lemonsworth in a campaign. That's a character that I would play again and again because of the lore, but I've only played her once, and sadly it was a campaign that kind of flopped because the DM... We won't go into that. But,
it wasn't one of our DMs.
Campaigns are on a single timeline, Grenade. I mean, you know, that's the fun of it. And I think that, at least in my experience, as being a player that has had cameos and being a DM that gives players cameos, people really enjoy it. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the only time you have to be careful is with the forward in time ones and not the back in time ones, because if you do it in a way where a character could, 1, still technically be alive, and 2, you have to make it that it works with the lead into it, you know, you just have to watch out that people aren't like screwing up the timeline. But everything that happens afterwards, you know, that's all fair game.
Continuity.
Yeah. How am I getting around that with the prequel campaign that I'm doing that is after their whole thing is completed? It is because it takes place in completely different planes of existence. While everything in the original campaign takes place on the material, they are all in the elemental planes, so they can't easily directly do it. But what was cool is that at the
except
time,
when we sent a turtle to who knows where.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, you know where.
Well, I know where.
But what was
Ennui doesn't know.
Yeah, what was cool is that since we were playing the campaigns kind of alongside each other for a period of time, things that they did in the prequel campaign could directly affect the modern, you know, the present day campaign, because it was still happening, right? It didn't have continuity errors. But also the world is so big, so when they do things now, when there isn't more campaign, it can still happen. They just, you know, the new characters didn't interact with it, and it's never the same characters, so it doesn't matter.
Let's just say the enemy that was delivered in the modern day was not a fan of druids.
I wonder why.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
It's not like Lilith had any ancestors or anything that pissed it off.
It's, Grenade, that campaign was one of the only campaigns that I, like, didn't show up at the end, and I was like, yeah, I'm out, you guys finish it without me. I can't do it anymore. It was rough. I've only backed out of 2 campaigns mid-campaign. Otherwise, I finished every other campaign.
Gotta finish what you start. Within reason.
Yeah, well, I did end a campaign that I DM'd early, like sooner than the story I had planned for it did, but such is life.
Well, you wanted to get to Pathfinder.
That one too. There's another one.
Oh, there was another one?
So the post-haste campaign ended, the story ended where I wanted it to end. But there could have been more stuff in between. You know. What I'll say, Mars, when I made the post-haste campaign, there was a beginning and there was an end. And the middle was whatever I wanted it to be. And so rushing to the end was an ability that I had. And it worked out because of Avi and everybody like that. Not Avi, of God, what's his name? Connie. Callie. Callie. There it is. Callie. Connie is from a different campaign.
I was like, Callie? No.
Callie, yeah. It just kind of worked out. But yeah.
Yay for happy accidents.
Yay for happy accidents. But, yeah, so basis in the end is I just like to go ham with my designs. Fantasy designs do usually go pretty ham. And I think having the direction of the sheet that I made for our table to fill out, if they wanted to. They're not required to, but I do know Mars find it useful.
I definitely find it useful because you have put stuff on that sheet that I would not think of.
Do we want to look at the sheet? Chat, we can look at the sheet if you want, but
oh yeah, let's show chat the sheet. But yeah, there were a whole bunch of details. I think you implemented it when
that's the vibe, becoming a lich. Yes, I did, because I recalled the pulling of teeth, essentially.
Yes. And there was just so much detail in there. There was stuff like I hadn't even thought about for Gilith design-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, Lemonsworth is also a lich. The original Lemonsworth is a lich. And then he's got sort of like the Rickverse vibes of like there's a Lemonworth in every multiverse. And they all report, they're all patrons. The patron is the Lich Lemonsworth. And yeah, they fight for true neutral, which I find very interesting. They fight for the balance of good and evil. And so, the machinations are kind of interesting. Sometimes he's helpful, sometimes they're not. But they can look like anybody. He was a big part. There have been 2 campaigns where Lemonsworth was very important. One of them is post-haste, and another one is sadly the other campaign that I had to end not where I wanted it to end, and that was just because, unfortunately, the players are not as into, like, story-long campaigns, and, as I, the DM, was. Okay, we can look at the one Lemonsworth that I've drawn. It is not Arnold Lemonsworth, it is Arlena Lemonsworth, so it is not Lemonsworth Prime, but she is a Lemonsworth. So we can look at her. Oh, and I forgot she has a weasel. Very like Miss Molly. Here's Arlena Lemonsworth. This is a very old piece of art, goodness. Feels old. But yeah, this is Arlena. This is my yeah, essentially. Kind of. One of the campaigns was trying with the idea that they were trying to test the player characters to see which one would be lemon worthy. But again, they weren't particularly interested in any of the story, so it was just kind of rough to be a DM, and then it was kind of like, we ended it and moved on. It's Dr. Wen. Dr. Watermelon. Ooh, that's another good one. So when I make characters, their names are really wild. So Lemonsworth is, you know, obviously Arnold Lemonsworth. I named a character in the campaign who was the Lemonsworth, Avalon. And so it both encompasses the A of Arnold Lemonsworth, and Avalon is a variety of lemon. But obviously, because I'm such a big nerd, none of the players knew, and that was kind of the point. They weren't supposed to know. And it was really great, the results in the end. And his friends, Dr. What, Dr. How, and Dr. Y. The Y-Wolves.
The Y-Hounds.
We're not werewolves, we're Y-Wolves. It's an Adventure Time.
What about the Who Wolves?
Nope, nope, just the Y-Wolves. And the Obnoxygen. Dr. Whom? Whomst. I think that's a conjunction, so it doesn't look the same. That's a conjunction. Yeah, exactly. From lemongrass to the white wolves. Which wolves? Some of them. All right. Do we want to see the form or not?
I think we should show it off just so people know what we're
Adventure Time
talking
stream.
about.
All streams are Adventure Time streams with the dichotomy. I can reference it at any moment.
She really can.
My brain is a library. Sadly, I've lost the ability to name as many episodes as I once used to be able to do, but I could probably name a lot of them.
You'll get the ability back one day.
I just haven't rewatched it in a while. But I still reference it. There's a reference in one of the Ace Attorney videos coming up. I put a lot of effort into editing that down. Obviously there's the Adventure Time reference in another one too. Character.
That one had the reference as its whole title card. Thumbnail card.
Yeah, exactly. No, the small reference of you just going, "What time is it? Puzzle time."
Puzzle time.
Scoop it up.
I miss Ace Attorney. I'm having withdrawals.
Back to Adventure Time again. I know. Soon. 2 more weeks. 2 more Tuesdays. Just
so close.
2 more Tuesdays.
So far.
And then we've done it.
Oh.
Then we can go back to Ace Attorney. That means we only have 2 more Tuesdays to get through Paradise Killer information. But you know.
We're screwed.
Hey, we're just gonna kill someone, you know, who knows?
Yep. Accuse somebody. I don't know who.
It's always annoying.
I say let's accuse Yuri.
He does feel like the sussy. Okay, this one is specifically for Pathfinder. Kill Paradise. Yeah. I need Tourney Tuesday again. So this is the form specifically for Pathfinder, so I changed it to Ancestry and Heritage. In D&D it would be Race. I don't actually ask for class in this, but that's because it was mainly for our table, and this... I would know what class everybody would be. Yeah.
Already.
It rhymes, so it must be right. I see. Alrighty. So yeah, we just have... The name is mainly for identifying it, but... Yeah, we talk about, do they have horns or antlers? Both? Neither?
Yeah, like, honestly, and maybe this was stupid, I didn't think of Gillith as having horns until that option was there for me.
Yeah, see? Come on. Gotta think about it. And then you have, what color are they? What shape are they? Do they have a gradient? Are they symmetrical or asymmetrical? Then we have hair. How long is the hair? You know? Multiple options. Other. You can always answer other. Bald. I don't think they've ever drawn a bald character. Dylan thought Zaw was bald,
like
but...
our hair in this house.
I'm here for the hair. No offense to bald people. And then it's what kind of hair, because there's lots of different textures of hair. You gotta have the hair color. How is it styled? And then you have random other notes, like it should float around them because it's made of water or fire or all these other stuff. Yes. Offense to bald people.
That was actually something for Thaddeus. His little upper bit on his
fire
undercut
hair
was supposed to billow ever so slightly.
Exactly. What shape are their ears? Mildly pointed, very pointed, fins, feathers. Other. Dylan would like to put other. Elf, but incredibly long, because he really likes the night elf ears from World of Warcraft. The one response is Mars. It's specifically... It's not supposed to have a lot of response. Here. The other one has more responses. Oh, I guess it doesn't. Never mind, it doesn't. Oh, no, it does. It has 3 responses. Look at that. 3 responses on the D&D version of it. See?
There we go.
3 responses. 2 of them are Jamie. Look at that. And 1 of them is Mars.
Oh.
But yeah,
it
wasn't a survey. It's a form for people to fill out when I give it to them. If there was a ton of responses, honestly, that would make it kind of difficult to look through them and have them. So you have hair, then you have to ears. You could have feather ears. You could fin ears. I really should add like wing ears. I forgot that. That's a newer thing that I've been seeing around. Shape of the eyes. Oops. Shape of the pupils. Color of the pupils. No pupils. Yeah, the iris. We talk about the sclera because that's something, Caus's sclera is yellow. Who knows? Feathers, haha, yes.
It's important to consider.
Other notes about eyes. Are they missing one? Are they different colors, scars, all that sort of things? You have gills. You have teeth. You have other mouth notes like forked tongues or extra mouths or teeth traits. Like I saw a character today that had a tooth gap. That was very important to their thing. Is their mouth weird colors? You gotta have their skin. Their markings. What do the markings look like? Are there scars? What do the scars look like? And then you have to think about it. Are the scars darker or lighter colors than the skin tone? Or maybe a funky color because it's like a magic scar. Who knows? Maybe scales, feather, or fur. All these sort of things. Lots of stuff to think about. Yeah, and then you have to...
I know that Jamie used this response form, but have you given it out to other people who commission?
So I have never given it out to anybody else who commissioned. I gave it to Jamie because... So Jamie won... like the Outcast trivia night and got a character bust, right? Mm-hmm. And so Jamie had mentioned that he was having a little difficulty like describing the character, and I mentioned the forum and was like, yeah, you can use it. And he liked it so much that when he did commission me for Augustus, he asked to use it again, and I went, yeah, sure, why not? I have given it to, of course, our old table members, but Mars, so far you're the only one that has used it, even though I think one other table member needs to use it, but he's very difficult to get a hold of. And so half the time I just draw his character however the fuck I want, and chill. So whatever it is. Gotta talk about the leggies, the hooves, what kind of hooves, a very basic list of clothes, but you can of course add your own. Other specifications.
This is where Miss Molly's little apron and dress specifications were mentioned.
And then I have a little survey of, did you like, was there a category I missed? And, did this help you? So far, everybody said yes. They're not
very
biased, I swear.
So. No. Why would you think that?
Exactly. They're not biased.
Not biased at all. Are you kidding?
It's absolutely helpful.
It's just your close friend and your close follower. Not biased at all.
I don't know how I would make a form that other people can get, because I don't know. I don't think that anybody can, if they get a printout of it, they just get to know that they did it, but. So that's the whole thing.
Interesting. Definitely something.
I actually can do that. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Okay, the more you know.
Oh, look at that. Well, that could be interesting. I might make a form if people want that. No, that wasn't useful. You never know. I see it now, Enthuse. I found it. So that could be an interesting thing to do. I've played around. Okay, I'll say this. I've been playing around with the idea of having some sort of like character bust sale because I've enjoyed doing it for Art Fight, and it would kind of, in my eyes, it's also like a fighting AI sort of vibe, but it would have to involve the form, and so I've been kind of thinking about like how I would do all that, because the biggest thing, and this is why a lot of artists require references, is because design is like, effort. it's not, it doesn't just apparate out of thin air. So you have to think about it. And so sort of having that form would be nice to help people who, you know, obviously don't have references, because, well, you can do Heal or Reforge, and you can do, you know, there's limitations to that sort of thing. And the point would be that the sale would be for people who, you know, can't get, like, the full things and that sort of thing. So that's something I've been toying around with. Oh, look at this cutie.
Aww.
She's very cute. She's a cutie.
Oh, Grenade has an interesting question. It's about AI. Would you say the rise of AI art has affected the option? Sorry, it jumped to the next thing and my brain broke.
The amount of commissions I get. So
amount of commissions you get, yes.
I wouldn't say.
Why did the comment I was reading suddenly jump up?
I wouldn't say that I personally have seen a specific change in numbers. I will say that I never got, like, I wasn't, like, influx with, like, tons and tons of them at any point in time. They, you know, they come and they go. But it seems to be pretty steady on what I've gotten. I will say that there has only been one specific case where I felt my job was specifically taken by AI, and I don't want to talk about it too much because it does involve people we know, but it is, like that one I don't, like, I still constantly think about that one specifically, and so it's kind of like, but that's only one specific case, and I understand, like, why they've done it, because, you know, commissions cost a lot of money, and mine aren't, like, cheap, but, you know, there's also other artists that do it for, like, a ton of money, so it's, like, a lot of, you know, sort of nuance there. I did learn that AI was bad at crossbows, so I got that going for me. You know? Hands, crossbows.
Why is AI bad at crossbows?
I don't know, they tried to put in crossbows and they just they couldn't get it. They couldn't do it.
That's very specific.
Yeah, I wonder if I can find it.
I'd love to see this monstrosity.
It's gonna be very far back, but we'll see. Crossbow. Ah, yes. Let me open. Can I open image a new tab, please? There it is. Here's some crossbow examples.
Let's see.
Well, see, and so Grenade.
Oh my!
That's why I'm not I haven't particularly been affected by AI, because items are, you know, mainly the commissions that I would get stuff for. Not a lot of character commissions. Good night, Mason. I know it is just a boat.
Always good to see you. Thank you for hanging out with us.
So lots of crossbow attempts and lots of failures. So, you know, I feel pretty good in my crossbow security.
You got this market.
Like, you know, none of these are usable crossbows. They're all very something else.
Good God, that is something.
Check the Discord fridge. All right, we'll check the Discord fridge.
What's cooking?
It's just all the bad hands. Nice.
Oh my God.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay, if we're on AI, let's see if I can find this tweet. Because it hurt my soul, but we're gonna teach you what to look for again.
This is a safety lesson, guys. How to protect yourself against AI.
Ideally, it's a safety lesson. If I can find where it is, that I'll be unsure about. Notifications. No, it was in like a list of things. Ooh, I know where to go. Bolt. There we are. This one. Okay, I'm gonna go down the layers. I know this artist reblogged this other artist that had it. So here it is. This artist. Okay, okay. Going down the list. And come on. There it is. Found it. Awesome. We got it. We got it, folks.
Okay, let's teach them how to recognize the dangers of AI.
Oh god, this
Don't
is
trust anything called Skynet.
So this piece is AI. Isn't that sad? The hands don't even look that bad. If bad at all. They have 5 fingers. The thumb's over there. This hand too. It's pretty chill. All of this in the foreground is honestly concernedly good for AI. However, I cannot rotate this picture, unfortunately. But as you kind of zoom in, I don't know if I can zoom in. Open image in new tab. There we go. You should have zoomed in over here. What is up with this guy in the background? He has a butt, but a single leg, and his one arm blends into the thing back here. You know, what's going on there? Where this is just off into nowhere. Where does that go? The floor is non-existent. What, you know, who knows what's going on there? You know, same there. What is this on? And then the floor, and he's attached, you know, who knows? But again, big thing here, the butt with the unileg, and his arm becomes the background.
Just so, why?
The biggest thing that AI at the moment now, as they slowly get better at hands in certain cases, unfortunately, is the backgrounds. Because people don't see that immediately. You can see bad hands rather quickly, especially if it's the main forefront of the picture, right? You can see those sort of things rather quickly. But then when you start really looking at it into the background, you find shit like his paper bag chip shirt and his unibutt. And you know that it's AI. Now, what is sad is that still, and you and I and everybody else will still scroll past this rather quickly and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's, you know, it's Demon Slayer. You know, not Demon Slayer, the other one. I keep mixing them up. Jujutsu Kaisen. Thank you.
Yeah,
I keep having an issue. It's Jujutsu Kaisen. And, you know, people go and just scroll by and not think about it. And that's sad. And that's the problem. I'm glad you liked it so much, Grenade. I love working on items design. I like commissioning. It's not my job. I don't get enough commissions to do with that. And honestly, I would have to take on a lot of commissions in order to sustain myself at any level of a job. But I do enjoy it. So I would never want to close them. Because I like doing the commissions. You know, I like being able to have that sort of level of design. I like, you know, my commissions don't have that you need reference of things like you do. I do like the design level of it. That's an AI generated cute animal photo. That was big at the start too, Enthuse. I remember like really fluffy round little AI things and like sticker designs.
Oh yeah. That was wild.
Yeah, it does that a lot, Dichotomy. When you look at those really detailed, like rooms and stuff, when you start to look into the background and zoom in, unlike a person that would make even, like, not detailed strokes, they make them with purpose, AI just mosaics it. Like, it literally looks like the mosaic. It just looks like when you look really closely at it.
It's
but you
really
do have to stop and look. Ugh, yeah. That's the rough thing, Grenade. It's hard. Because my whole thing is, I completely understand the idea of using it when you cannot pay for art. It's very expensive to pay for art. I dislike the idea when you move away from the intention that this is a necessity because I don't have the funds to I never plan to do anything else because I'm a cheapo. Right? Like that's the level. And that's why with my whole thing that I sort of have this like internal turmoil of how I feel about the one time I was specifically, like, pushed out of a thing, is because it's like, I understand that, like, it's expensive to commission art, but then after a certain point, it's like, I don't think you're ever going to commission art, and now I don't know how to feel. And so that's, like, the whole thing. Yeah, that is true, Grenade. But I also, I think there will always be people that commission, because I do think there are specific design. I would be impressed if at a point AI could do my job in how I make Ben 10 aliens into weapons. Because the client has a specific weapon in mind, or a specific item in mind, and a specific alien in mind. So when you're here for the general idea of, I just need sort of like a general overview of a pig in, you know, armor with an axe, and you don't really care much beyond that, AI can do that. And that's unfortunate that there's no more specific request of people, you know, getting AIs with that sort of thing. Well, and there you go. That's another reason why people won't ever stop commissioning. I find it less to be a concern with, like, on the small scale, right? I think it's a concern with the industry. Like when we see what they did with Invasion and how they made that whole intro out of AI. That I find is where that's where the problem starts happening, right?
And for that to be happening amidst the writer's strike and this whole movement for better pay for industry artists, honestly disgusting.
Dichotomy, I will never talk as much if the timer's going. I get to answer questions a lot more. No, not the horn. Yeah, you want it in their everything. You want their concept of it. Like I said, a lot of people almost everybody who comes to commission me for an item is coming to me because they like the items I design, right? Like, they're not coming to me just to get it done. You know, a lot of times they are working with me, and especially repeat customers are doing it because they like how I interpret their stuff and everything like that. So, you know, that's the benefit of me over an AI. But there is concern with, you know, more simple styles. Like, there was a comic artist, I'm trying to remember, Sarah Doodles or something, I think is the name. It's a very, very, you would recognize her work anywhere. And there are people trying to use AI to specifically replicate her work because there is so much work of her that they can train it. And it gets closer than, you know, is comfortable. Like, it's not good yet, but at the rate that it sort of progresses, sort of concerning.
It's too close for comfort.
Yeah, exactly. And it's those sort of things that get concerned. I'm such a small artist, and again, it's thankfully not, like, my source of income that I need, but it is one of those things where when you learn about how industry animators are already treated and already, you know, underpaid and overworked and all this sort of stuff, that as it gets better, those are the people that I have the concern for.
Yeah. Especially Marvel.
Well, I'm glad I could be the person that understands what you say, Grenade. Yeah, exactly, Enthuse. That is a big reason. And that's what another thing, there's sometimes a lot of talk about how a lot of people who commission are other artists. What is my main income? At the moment, I'm technically between jobs, but ideally it'll be an office job. Right now, I'm very thankful and honored that I get to live with my parents. What essentially happened to me is that I had to leave my last job, and then because I am moving, not very far, but, you know, like an hour away from where I am, that I didn't want to get a job that I would then have to either leave in, you know, a few months or have to commute way too far, because the goal is to have a job that allows me to do this at the same rate and not just make money. That's the goal. So yeah, so technically it is commissions.
And also not be completely soul draining.
Yeah. Technically it is commissions right now then, but it's not in a way where I'm like, I don't have to pay rent, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm very lucky. And I got the house to myself, to, you know, last couple days.
Ooh, nice.
Fancy.
Did the puppy let you sleep in finally?
No. I got an hour longer, but that was it.
Okay, that's something at least.
It's funny, I hope to work at a town hall because the most important thing to me is set hours on vacation time. If we want to talk about jobs real quick, we'll go into this sort of tangent. The job that I had was in my field, right? I worked as a word that I can't think of now. A something arborist that I don't know
arborist, but
it's an arborist something. An arborist
like
representative.
Sales.
That's the word that is. Yeah, it's a sales job. So it was an arborist representative, and what I did is I essentially went to people's houses who had problems with their trees and their shrubs and everything, and I told them what their problem is and how we could fix it, or how we could help it, or how we could prevent damage and every sort of thing like that. And yeah, essentially. But I was I diagnosed. I didn't do the work. I directed other people to do the work. It wasn't door to door. Everything was by appointment. People would call us, and then by appointment, and we had repeat clients that I would visit and do checkups on their property specifically, because they were well-paying clients. I got to be on the property of Jimmy Fallon, and I worked with the people that worked on the property of Jimmy Fallon, so that was really cool. And some other place that I had to sign an NDA that I don't know why, because I don't know what they were. But it must have been something.
What the heck?
Yeah. Also, this guy that's a really big figure in like loans and housing loans and this sort of thing that my father knows about, and he thought that was really cool. So yeah, a lot of cool people. I never met Jimmy Fallon, but I worked on his property and worked with everybody there, and that was really cool. But the point of that is that while I enjoyed the parts of my jobs that allowed, I played cheese for the FBI, exactly. While I enjoyed the parts of my job where I got to work with people who were genuinely interested in the care and, like preservation of trees, and people who genuinely liked to work with that, and he was too old for this shit. Nice. And we have a crazy guy that comes to town hall, and it's a whole thing, and he's a rich man because he invented a thing that you all use. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want somebody to look him up and then know where we live. Because if they're prominent figures. But essentially,
be careful, Lori. Don't give us away.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying. That's why I just said Jimmy Fallon. He has like tons of houses, there's no way. But I was saying, there were not technically set hours, and if a storm came, and a storm did come my first year, we were expected to work incredibly long hours. We had a storm hit, and it was really, really bad. And yeah, exactly, a rich man who invented a thing. He's very eccentric. But I essentially worked from like 6 in the morning till 9 at night for like a whole week, and then worked every weekend from August until December. And that was something that I did not sign up for. That was not something that I wanted to deal with. Like, it really drained me as a person. And on top of that, we didn't have set vacation days, so you had to go at the graces of your higher up. And then on top of that, there was a lot of more like internal stupid management shenanigans and everything. And so by the end, where I was fired, I was literally like, I want to get fired so I can get unemployment and not quit. Literally the thought process.
You're just like, bye.
It was literally because if I quit, I don't get unemployment, but if I'm fired, I do get unemployment. And so that was the thought process there. And so it was really horrendous. And what that taught me, because I don't regret it, because it was a very lucrative job and it allowed me to purchase my computer and my tablet and pay off my student loans and everything like that. I still absolutely hated it, and it made me a very unhappy person. And so now I have realized what my priorities are, and that is, you tried getting fired, but you didn't.
I'm wondering
succeed,
how that
you
went.
Did succeeded.
Aw.
I don't know. I can't. I'm sorry, Grenade. The tense is here. I can't tell. You really tried getting fired, but you did succeeded. Sad face. I'm so confused. Unless you're trying to quote me. You didn't. Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry you didn't. It's okay, Grenade. Typos are fine, but it was definitely like I can't tell which way to interpret this.
Well, is that yes? Is that no?
But essentially, what that you had to quit. Yeah, that sucks. That's the worst because you can't get unemployment that way. But essentially, yeah, my priorities are specific mandated days off and specific hours of work. I don't particularly care what hours those are. I mean, I don't really want graveyard shift, but you know, like, I don't really care if those are like 7 to 3, 9 to 5, you know, like too much. As long as they are, I come home and my work is over. I did not get that with my other job. It was I was home, and if the phone rang, I had to pick it up. And if the emails came in, I had to pick it up. And I would have to do work on the weekends and all this sort of stuff. And it was like, this is not what I signed up for. So very much, yeah, no housework, no nothing. So it is very much, I'm at the point where it's like, I don't care what the job is, as long as it is me getting to go in at a certain time, leave at a certain time, and if I want vacation, all I have to do is put in, you owe me those days. And that is,
give them to me.
Yeah, that's the dream, enthuse. No emails at home, no phone at home, no nothing.
Yes.
And in the end, what that really means is that means government work, and I'm not opposed to that. My mother works for our town, and I would work in like planning or development or parks, you know. Ideally something that is with my field, but I don't really care that much. As long as I get to come home and work on the comic and stream with you guys, and we're all good. Play Ace Attorney. That's all you need.
All you need in life.
Yeah, working for the town, see?
I will say, secretary jobs, very nice.
Ideal dichotomy. Amazing.
It's incredible.
Why don't we hear the fireman alarm anymore? Because they technically can't do it after 9, I think it is. I think it's after 9. So it doesn't go off. They're not allowed to do it after a certain time. Because if we have quiet hours, they have to deal with quiet hours.
Yes.
Also, we don't have that many fires. Involved. You know?
Not really, no. Thank God. Knock on wood.
It only goes off when it needs to. And that's not always, so that's it.
That's very true.
It's the success.
It's manageable and it's livable.
The lights are affected. Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of cops either, but
saw a lot of ambulances the other day.
Oh yeah, the cops beatbox over here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice grenade. Very nice.
Ooh. Very nice indeed.
Is that it means when they do the siren, they don't just turn it on and turn it off, and they don't just like hit it in a steady interval. They go like boop 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 boop, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm really not exaggerating. I'm really incredibly not exaggerating. They come out of the fire department
literally
and
it's
just
like
go,
a
boop,
whole
boop,
tune.
boop, 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 boop.
They got a whole song going. It's amazing.
And it's like, why are they doing it? Or
like, maybe they're just bored.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing I don't understand. The other thing is that we had like 4 mockingbirds outside my house and they all decided to sound like my dog whining.
Now that's uncanny. That's impressive.
It was like her whining / a squeaky door. And so the whole time I'm like in the bathroom, I'm like, I'm coming, help in a moment. And then I go down and she's like sound asleep. I'm like, was she having a dream?
And meanwhile, you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, and then it's like, oh no, it's just the birds.
I will take that over the woodpecker I have. Every morning, it keeps going for the gutter, and I'm like, you're not going to find shit in there. Go to one of the 1,000,000 trees in the backyard.
No.
You will have way better luck there, I promise.
Well, happy to have you, Dichotomy. Get
always,
some good rest
Dichotomy.
or things
Get
done
some
or
rest.
whatever. No worries. Always happy to have you for however long you can.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad it was fun, Dichotomy.
I'm glad. I hope it helped a little bit. Old lady yells at the sky.
There was an old lady who yelled at the sky.
Well, it's
why. Perhaps she'll cry.
It is one of those things where if you don't need the money to live because you have, like, your parents are letting you stay with you, or, you know, you're just not ready, you know, you're not old enough to even move out or do anything, you know, it is nice to get those jobs in Resume Builder and make it so that it's not, like, painful to work at the place, right? Like, if you're doing it just for, like, you know, a little cash on the side in Resume Builder, you want to do something that's not, like, soul crushing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't have to, right? When you have to, you know, unfortunately, if you gotta make money to live.
When you gotta do what you gotta do. Say, pay for grad school.
Do you really want to move out? Is that a common thing people your age do in France and can do in France, Grenade, without like 80 bajillion roommates? Because here, no, not anymore.
It used to be the case, but with the price of everything,
the only reason I am able to move is through incredible charity of Dylan's parents. Dang, Grenade. That's nuts. Trying to think. I technically don't think I know anyone who has moved out. Not at least that I keep up with. Oh, I do know one person that has moved out. But she moved
I know one person.
To an apartment with her current significant other. So, at least last time I knew about it. So, dual income.
Yeah.
And she works as an engineer, so, as a robotic engineer, so, big money.
Oh, that always helps.
Yeah.
I have a friend.
That's a vibe enthuse.
She got married. She and her husband went to go live in Florida in an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are the only people I know that have quote unquote moved out. Well, I guess technically this other friend. She's a RD at a college. So she gets to live on campus with her significant other.
That's a sweet gig.
Her fiance now, actually.
Oh, so are you gonna go to another wedding?
Yes, next year. In
Dang.
fact. Yes.
Are you part of the party or just a guest?
Keep them coming. Part of the party, I believe.
Nice.
This
was going to all the weddings.
It's so weird. I have a friend two friends. either gotten married or getting married. Another friend with a baby, like a whole baby, and
an
a
entire
husband.
baby, a full-on baby.
An entire baby, like actual whole baby, not just half a baby, whole baby. And
Mars,
I'm just
what is
like,
an RD?
what the
Enthuse is
fuck?
asking.
What happened?
What's an RD?
Oh gosh, what did it stand for? Residential director? Let me double check that.
So yes, Enthuse. I think this is a full-on job and not like a student there, is it? Are they a student?
No, she's not a student.
So
she's
not an RA.
literally the person in charge of the building.
Okay.
It's above an RA.
So it's an actual adult
RA is supposed to
doing an actual job.
This is an adult job.
Not a college campus.
No. That would be an RA.
Getting some addition. Well, that's what enthusiastic is. It different than an RA? So there you go. There's your answer.
Yes, it's different from an RA.
It's very interesting. I have not had any like friends that have had weddings. I've had like people, family members, or people who are technically family friends, but so at that point they're just family members equivalent. Who I have been to weddings for, but no one that is like my peer. My pal that is just my pal and has nothing to do with my parents. So who knows?
Wonder if that'll change.
I don't know who it would be if we're being honest.
Oh, that's true.
Come on, please.
Well,
I think I know one.
Yeah, good question.
I know two people that are in relatively long-term relationships, and one of them I'm unsure if she would end up inviting me or not, because we're not that close anymore. So the other person, against I don't know, but I don't think he would be doing it anytime soon. That's literally it. Those are the nobody else. One engaged friend.
Those are the only options.
It's so sad that weddings are so expensive. Are they gonna do anything, or they're just gonna do like the wedding as like the specific like going to the courthouse or whatever?
Is this a question directed at me or someone else?
This was Grenade talking about his friends.
Ah! Oh, congrats to Grenade's friends.
You think? I don't know, Enthuse. Who knows? I thought I was too young to have friends that are getting married, but I mean, technically not. I also learned that there's like a YouTuber who got married at like 18. So, technically once you're 18, never too young. Technically. Legally.
Jeez.
Chilling his couple goal, it's vibes. That's the vibes. Chilling his couple goal.
Indeed. Okay, I want to finish this panel.
I finished 12 panels today, Mars. What's your excuse? No, I'm joking.
I think I've done 10.
Ooh, getting up there.
Oh yeah. Which, Ori, okay, this is just a question for you for my own benefit.
Yeah, sure.
I know we were skipping entries between the two of us now that you're starting to catch up to me. Do you want me to go to 24 or 23?
Nah, do 23 because I'm a little behind.
Okay. What's this? You're behind?
Not Molly. No. Guys, what do I finish on stream? Very little. It's very little I finish on stream, okay? Please. If you're gonna tell me that I finished the even the games on stream, no. I just have to they're just done when the timer goes off. None of them are finished.
You can't come after Ori like this.
Talking and arting and all this stuff. It's a lot of brain power, okay? Because I can't read chat and look at what I'm drawing. So, sad noises. Sad streamer noises. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of multitasking.
So sad.
very much. Are you praising only Mars Grenade? Or...
Yes, keep the praise coming.
No. So sad. But yeah, that is a reason why I do the challenges though, because otherwise we never do it. Praising the talking stream. I mean, I feel like all of our streams end in, you know, devolve into just talking except Ace Attorney. The game stream, you know, the Ace Attorney streams are like our, by far, the most structured stream that we do.
Well, they're so structured because we have something guiding us the entire way.
Yeah, we have something guiding us, and I do make them videos, so it is a little more like we have things to do. Disjoint my eyes. Oh. I don't know.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Sounds
painful.
painful.
How do I... Yeah, Paradise Killer, I don't know. It's something we'll never go back to. Again, we'll see. We'll accuse somebody on our last stream, and that'll be it. That's just how it'll go.
I gotta be honest, where in most cases, like if this were Ace Attorney and we accused the wrong person, I would probably cry. In this game, I don't think I even care about the characters all that much.
Yeah, I agree, Enthuse. That's why there's only 2 more streams of it, and then it's done. Put it on you, Grenade.
That's very charitable. Thank you, Grenade.
Guys, a new episode of the comic comes out tomorrow. And guess what? It is
exciting!
It is the last entry. It is the last page of entry 2. Isn't that nuts?
Onwards and upwards.
Honestly,
oh my
it scares
god.
me a fair amount.
It terrifies me as well, because it means, oh my god, we're actually in this thing.
Exactly. Very, very like, huh. It's like, we get to a point where it's like, in entry 4, entry 3. Events is entry 3. What? Okay, then I have to change it.
Confused.
I'll fix it.
I'm so confused.
Then I have messed up. Edit event. Next. Entry 2. Page 13. I'll admit that I did all those events. Very sleep deprived. Yeah, sounds good, Grenade. I have to fix up, I think 3 of them. And then I'll send them over to you. Get them in the little thing. That's probably what we'll do tomorrow. Mars and I.
Yeah.
During our business meetings.
I may run a tad late. It is my little bro's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, look at that, Grenade. Nice. We're happy to have you.
Huh.
Oh my goodness. Alrighty.
Okay,
Beautiful.
there we
Look,
go.
She's coming along. It's happening.
Oh, she's so cute.
Happy birthday to little Marcito.
I'm sure he would say thank you if he were awake right now.
That is true, Enthuse. One of the biggest continents, if not the biggest continent. I don't actually know. Maps are weird. Enthuse might know. Is Asia the biggest continent? Unless maybe it's Antarctica. There you go. I think Africa's the largest. Ah, see, I told you maps were stupid. We did stupid on the maps. Asia's the highest position. Okay. We did a dum-dum on the maps.
Ah, not a dum-dum. What'd you do?
Oh, no. Society, in general, we made maps stupid.
Oh, yeah, of
Eurasia.
course we did.
Oh, God, we're going into things.
No, not geography.
You got
my
on a
worst
tangent
subject.
that I don't know as much about.
Change the tangent. Change the tangent.
A +7. So, what is normal time? Prime meridian time is +6 or something, right?
Oh God, don't ask me.
5?
I have no clue.
I feel like we're -4. So, you're +2 more than that? Yeah, it's a lot. Brain. Well, I mean, continents are dumb.
Bet they are.
And character's a cartographer, why do I hate you? He's not a cartographer. He took a cartography class, and Milano is very inept. I vibe with Milano in this kind of... Okay, so you're about 12 hours ahead of us,
well.
Grenade. You're a full half day ahead of us. It's gonna be midnight here.
You're living in the future.
Yeah, that is very, very true, Enthuse. I mean, you know, that's how it works, so. Everything is a social construct. Not everything, but like vast majority of it.
Majority. A good amount.
Okay, I think I have to do it this way because I liked it better. Like this. Ooh, consonant fact. New Zealand might be its own continent.
What do we have?
How do we decide what's a continent? A continent and not. Like how do we choose? Because at least I have an idea of like planet, you know, like what makes a planet. I have no idea what makes a continent.
Pretty sure most of it was arbitrary.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Grenade. The reason we don't do that is because both Mars and I and Dylan the worst probably, would fail incredibly hard. You seem to misunderstand how bad the American school system is for teaching us anything else. And
it
really
is useless.
And thus, I know all 50 states. And now Dylan can't even put all 50 states where they belong. Mars, can you put all 50 states where they belong?
I can put the East Coast, the things in the Louisiana boot and leg, California, Hawaii, Alaska, Texas. Okay. If you ask me what's in the Midwest, I'm probably going to put Oklahoma where Kansas goes.
I can put all the 50 states where they belong. Once upon a time, I knew the capitals of all 50 states. Now I probably only know about like 25, 30 of them. And that's
only
it.
25, 30 of them, she says.
It. No, but that's it. I know where Mexico is. I know where Canada is. I can maybe get like 5 other countries that I can specifically place on a map. The rest are just names that I know exist. And that's about it. And I am probably on the higher end of Mars and Dylan there. Enthuse, you would very much like my younger cousin. He's very much like you. He knows tons of capitals of countries and other countries and where they belong and all these fun facts and stuff, you know, all that sort of stuff. He's very, very into the geography and that sort of thing too. But there you go, 196 countries, Jesus. I didn't even know that number existed.
Holy crap.
Canadian, US, and Mexican State. Jesus, that's nuts. Yeah. Whew. Amazing. Once upon a time, I did know, okay, give me a second. Once upon a time, I did know all the Central American and South American countries that had Spanish as their main language and what those capitals were. Again, I maybe know about half of those now. Okay. Ouagadougou. That's how I say it. That's how I pronounce it. You just like maps. I mean, you know, it's a vibe. Maps are a vibe.
Respect if you like maps.
You know, everybody's got their thing. No problem with that. Sadly, it's not my thing, and thus, I gotta tell you, incredibly bad.
The only maps I vibe with are the ones in Etri and Odyssey. That is it.
Ouagadougou? Okay. It's like the Wida.
Interesting.
But yeah. Yeah, so that's about it. And again, I'm higher on that amount than definitely Dylan. Mars and I don't talk about geography enough, so I don't know where Mars is on the level.
Let's just say I failed the geography test in 7th grade 3 times. They made me retake it until I passed with, I think, a 60.
Alright, so I'm probably a little above average on the geography, and then Enthuse is like genius. For American standards. I know that in other places, like Grenade, is this you being an enthusiast of geography, or did you learn a fair amount of this in school?
Yeah, where did this knowledge come from?
A Python-based geography battle royale? Oh god. Yeah, every time I say it, Enthuse, it's like a name drop. It's like the title drop. It's funny, this is a little interesting if we go back to character design briefly, is that I'm specifically not adding things that I would add to other characters because it makes her more doll-like. Normally I would add little hairs down the side of her face here that like tie the front of the head hair to the back of the head hair, and then but as a doll it gives her more doll-like features if she has specific cut front head hair and back head hair. Doll.
It's a very nice
detail.
Grenade. I love it.
Grenade says it's 90% school and 10% geoguessr. Yeah.
Damn.
Enthuses 10% school and 90% enthusiasm. And
I feel like you'd be hard pressed to find somebody like in America who's gone through the American educational system enthused about geography.
I don't think that's true.
They make it kind of miserable for
I think that my whole thing is that if the people in my life that I know that I would call are, you know, like they are smart in geography, are only smart in geography because they enjoy it, to a large extent, right? I wouldn't say that I know anybody that is like, yeah, I was good in geography, but like that was it, right? And so thus I have like precursory knowledge because, you know, school taught it to me and I did, you know, good class. I'm talking, it's people like Enthuse. So my cousin, who again, just like you, Enthuse, could probably name all 192 or whatever you said countries of the world, and you know, I bet knows all the capitals to them too. I knew this one guy in high school who could also name all 192 countries in the entire world, and so it's very much like a these people like it, you know? These people are in it to win it. They're not just passing. It's a very specific micro hobby enthusiast, but I like it. Going to secondhand shops and seeing how old the maps are based on what countries do and do not exist.
That's kind of cool. I didn't think a lot of people brought maps in.
I had a friend. Yeah, that is very true. We have seen you with the chat played. I have a friend that I've known since I was in kindergarten, and he is a big history buff. Mainly he's a history buff, but his father owns a antique map shop that he now works at as well. So very interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. Very wild stuff. Oops.
Goes to show there's a market for these things.
My favorite flag is the old Spain one that had purple in it. That's more of a fun fact. I do like the flags that have purple. I don't see
too many flags with purple though.
No, I watched a video. I watched a video that was like, why don't we see flags with purple in them? And it has to do with like expenses and stuff.
That makes sense, especially for back in the day. Purple was an expensive color.
Exactly. Hello, Roval. How are you? Good to see you. Ooh,
we're just kind of chilling right now.
We're just vibing. We answer questions, though, so, you know.
Oh, yeah. Questions,
right now we're on history, but, you know, feel free. We have done our topic, but we can always go back.
Yes.
And always talk about more. Thank you, my provider of vexillology. There we go. Vexillology. Fun with flags. Enthuse, did you ever watch The Big Bang Theory? Ooh, is it a West Marches Roval? Or is it completely different? Unrelated?
So curious now.
Oh. We were just chilling with character designs and stuff. What, is it a new campaign you're joining? Yep. Ooh, 3 a.m.
Yeah. Ooh.
So is it coming up in about 3 hours?
It's early.
3 a.m. If it's coming up in about 3 hours, then time zone buddies.
Holy crow.
Got follow-up questions? Or it's a follow-up quest. I see. So it's a character you've already had. Very nice. What are they? Gotta know all the deets.
Yes. Please.
15
provide.
hours. Okay. Not time zone buddies. So what's 15 hours for us from now? 12.
Tomorrow.
3 p.m.?
Just about, I think.
Yeah, it would be 3 p.m. Oh, so Roval, you might be in the same time zone as Grenade right now. Look at that.
That would be pretty funny.
Like all the time zone buddies matching up.
You guys come from all over.
There's a funny in Cinder's Discord chat, someone said good afternoon or something, and it was our afternoon, so they were obviously on our time zone, Mars. And then somebody else replied, "What the hell do you mean afternoon? It's 10 a.m." And then they were like, "Oh, I forgot time zones exist."
That's a mood, though. That is such a mood.
The only thing that gets me is when the big one is the West Coasters, right? So we're on the East Coast, and so the West Coasters are 3 hours behind us. And so, or 2 hours? I think it's something like that. I think it's 2 hours maybe. 2-3 hours, something like that. But the point is that it's these people who are streaming late at night, and I'm always thinking wow, they're streaming so late, they're such night owls. And then I find out that they're on the West Coast, and I'm like, you suckers gained 3 hours. How dare you tell me it's only 10 p.m. when I'm going to bed at midnight. Screw you.
The audacity.
I can't believe you. West, Mountain, Central, Eastern. Okay. 3 hours. See, this is why we have our resident geographer.
Okay, now we can figure it out. But the pieces together, solve the riddle.
That's interesting. You know what's overused? States that have the same, like, state tree or state beverage. They shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't be allowed.
It's just too much of the same.
How dare they? It's boring, then. You're a boring state, then. And Vermont's state tree should be the eastern white pine and not the maple. But, you know.
Please elaborate.
Do you really want me to?
Only if you really want to.
I can make it short if we really want me to. The thing is, I could go on.
Oh, geez.
Go on.
It's up to you, chat.
Oh, we have, like, state fossils, state general animals, state flower, which is different from the state tree. You could have state anything, essentially. Hello,
state
Dual Blade.
Food, state
We're
whatever.
Good. We're just chilling. How are you? State food of Utah is Jell-O. Okay. The state beverage of New York is milk. But the state beverage of Vermont is milk, I think. And the state beverage of Pennsylvania is also milk. And I think the state beverage of North Carolina is also milk. Too many of them are milk. It's not
wow, that's not confusing at all.
Yeah, the sugar maple is the state tree of New York, Vermont, West Virginia, and two more that I'm blanking on. I think it's Michigan or Wisconsin? Something else.
Well, only we are allowed to
Tree
have
and bird are the big ones. Ooh, the state fish. I know the state fish of New York is the rainbow trout, and the state bird of New York is the bluebird.
Ooh.
Yes. Our state fossil...
I didn't know any of that.
I don't know the name of our state fossil, but it's the only fossil that has been found of a dinosaur in the state of New York, but I don't know what it's called. It's a whole lot of stuff. Lots of... all over the place. But the point is, about Vermont is named from... because we're learning this. The state of Vermont is named after the French word for green mountain, Mont Vert, alright? Because they are the Green Mountain State, right? That's their state nickname. Alright, states have nicknames, right? The state nickname is the Green Mountain State. So Vermont literally means Green Mountains. They have the mountain range, the Green Mountains. Their state song, yes, states also have songs, is called These Green Mountains. Why are the mountains green? Please, guess. It's not because of maples. Oh, no, 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 no. It's because of the eastern white pine. So why is their state tree not the eastern white pine? Because they couldn't keep it consistent. They had to go, we're maple nuts. We like that. We like that sweet, sweet tree sap.
That really would have been a better name. We should have just gone with that.
So sad. Disappointing. It's never time to stop.
Tisk.
I have a whole tree rant.
Ori has tree rants for days.
I don't even know what. I know what the pluses. Goodness, I think we're +4 or -4. You need more tree facts? I don't.
People have demanded, Ori.
-4, thank you. That's what it is. -4. It was a 4. I knew it was a 4. State has various state wherever things. Oh, you haven't paid attention to your state's various state things. That's fine. I learned a lot of them because I went to nerd hippie school, and so they're like, all the animals, and I went to the state fair, so they like tout that shit. They're like, yeah, state beverages, milk, and all this sort of stuff. Very nuts. But More tree facts.
What's a good one?
It's hard to just whip out tree facts. I don't know about like specific tree facts.
I mean, you can't do it on command?
The problem, I know more like general, like scientific tree things that like people don't realize necessarily, if we count that as tree. I have less like specific stuff like the pine tree thing. But evergreen and conifer don't mean the same thing. All trees with needles aren't evergreen. That could be a tree fact. Trees also breathe oxygen. Did you know that? Trees also breathe oxygen.
Everything you learned in grade school was a lie.
Yeah.
Disgusting
Those
lie.
are some tree facts. Think it's the boat Old Ironsides is built out of live oak.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you said live oak as opposed to dead oak?
Yeah, live oak is a species of oak that is called live oak because it is evergreen. And so when the colonizers came over to the colonies and they went, oh, look, it's winter, but this tree still have leaves. It's alive. And they called it live oak. Yeah. Live oak is a white oak, and that's why it's good for barrels and ships, because it has tight little pores in the wood instead of open pores like red oaks. Not all white oaks are white oaks. It's like a second classification of oak. So you have genus is oak, and then under genus we have a thing where we put them into red oaks and white oaks, and then you have species. And there's certain traits that makes an oak a red oak or a white oak, but that doesn't mean I can talk about a red oak and the black oak is a red oak. But there's also the eastern red oak, which is also a red oak. But the swamp oak and the live oak are white oaks.
Wow, that's not confusing
I did not
at all.
know that, Dual Blade.
Huh.
Flamingos can drink boiling water. That's nuts. Why? Why can they do that? Do you know why? I don't know why. What allows this to occur? They like the shrimp boils, so they need to be able to just slurp it up right away.
Who knows? Maybe they do.
But, okay, trying to think if I have any more good tree facts. There is a variety of apple that is called the crow's egg apple, and it tastes really terrible and is really bad. However, there are still existing trees because people are nostalgic. So they buy them because, oh, it reminds me of my grandfather who hated the flavor of this apple, but he died, so I want to keep it. It's a bad apple, don't eat it.
Psychologically, I understand the reasoning, but, wow.
I see. Yes, so crab apples are apples. They're all in the genus Malus. They're related. But crab apples are a New World thing. Apples are an Old World thing. So here's a tree-related fun fact, but it's not a tree fun fact. There are two kinds of flies that specifically eat apples or crab apples. But while they are originally from other places, they can hybridize, and thus the hybrids will eat both. But if they get the genes where it makes them just one or the other, it's a gene thing, they'll only eat crab apples, or they'll only eat regular apples. That's how you spell malice towards it. It's M-A-L-U-S. Malus. Malus. Malice.
That's really interesting.
Flamingos are nuts, is what you're telling me, Dual Blade. That's what I'm learning here. Flamingos. Why does nobody talk about how just metal flamingos are? Jesus.
Truly underrated.
I'm not sure, actually, Enthuse. Let's see. It just tells me apple. Yeah, bad, evil, wicked, mischievous. So yeah. Oh, you know why? It's because of the Adam and Eve shit.
Oh, that explains it.
I do know about the pistol shrimp, yes. It's what I'm hearing, Dual Blade. That's what I'm hearing. Send flamingos into space. That's what I'm hearing right here. Is that's the next thing. Because they just can survive anywhere, apparently.
If we have them. Put them to work.
They do. Yeah, that's why we have to ignore them, Dual Blade. Because if we acknowledge them, they'll take over the world.
And we can't have that.
You know, flamingos are cool, but they're big. You know, they're sizable. I wouldn't want a flock of flamingos coming after me, that's for certain.
That doesn't sound like it would end well, no.
They can be frozen and drink boiling water. Like, I feel like I've kind of lost... A 1v1 grenade, yeah. I could fight a lot of animals 1v1, but the problem is a lot of animals don't fight 1v1. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sure, Dual Blade.
Well, what do you do about the animals that are pack hunters?
This is the problem. Dylan likes to state that, yeah, if he was wearing shoes, he could fight off a wolf. You never... When are you fighting one wolf? You're not fighting one wolf, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You ain't fighting one wolf.
No, you're very much
That
not.
is very true, Grenade, but but still. In a fist fight? I don't know. I feel like there would usually be more flamingos than I could easily get humans to want to fight flamingos, if the flamingos specifically wanted to fight, right? You know, a lot of animals run away, and if they fly, you know, I don't really got anything on that. I can't just lift off into the air with my pack of, you know, other humans.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten there yet.
You gotta pick and choose your battles.
And once they fly away, you know, that's kind of it. Woo. Beauties.
And okay, got this all colored in. Woo!
If we need to, Grenade, if we need to, I will be. Enthuse, I mixed it up. If we need to, I will recruit specific...
Is that old midnight brain kicking in?
I mean, whaling is a thing. I don't, you know... Do they have a boat? I don't know if 5 people could... If they can't beat a whale, they couldn't beat, like, a great white shark. Then, like, we beat whales. That's wild, Dual Blade. Forced adoption.
Oh have so many facts. Just listening to all this in the background,
Whales
like,
are
how do you get
tanky.
so many smart
But again,
viewers?
we did whaling. Like, whaling's a thing, you know? Like we killed the whales. What do these... Okay, I guess the question is, do we have guns? I feel like guns, like, take out a lot of, you know, like weapons in general. Like they start taking a lot of things. I don't know the effectiveness of guns on whales. I do know that guns are not as good on bears as they should be. Orcas hunt... Well, I do know moose swim, so I guess that does kind of make sense, you know? So it's a snack. Not picky. Yeah, orcas are kind of nuts. Orcas kind of go way too hard as well.
Orcas are metal. Seriously, give them the respect they deserve.
That's why they're flipping boats and sinking ships.
Exactly.
No respect.
Best pun I've seen so far is that they're organizing. I'm like, yes. A headline
Beautiful.
after my own heart with that pun.
Yeah. Orca versus yacht, exactly. Orca v yacht. Who will win? Not the yacht.
Definitely not the yacht.
Not the yacht.
Nah.
Oh god. Ah! Didn't realize that was on the same layer. They did, didn't they? Orcas said eat the rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. What layer is everything on? I don't even know.
That's the question.
The wrong one.
I haven't named any of my layers tonight. Not a single one.
Join me.
I have literally just been
remember
using the locate tool to find everything.
That's the vibe. Join me.
I have labeled nothing.
Join me. Come to the dark side.
This is the one area of my life where
chaos.
The organization can fall to shit.
Come to the dark side. We have chaos and layers.
Let's see.
She's such a cutie.
Love Miss Molly.
It's very much. I don't draw children very often. So it's very much like it's a good exercise because I will have to draw children eventually. But,
well, this is good practice for baby Avrit, baby Hotzen, baby Milano.
Exactly. You? Me? Who? I'm a baby? What are we talking about now?
What?
I don't know. Grenade just said you.
I have no idea.
Oh, now I have to go back and I have to look at the form. I have to look at your responses, Mars, for the colors and thingies. For skin.
Basically, picnic table. That's the vibe.
Skin isn't picnic table. Human.
Well, no, not the skin.
Peach. Well, we start with the skin.
Though that would have been an interesting doll. Oh, that's not the color I want. That wasn't in reference to you. That was in reference to what I was doing.
Butterfly slug. Alright, I'll look it up. It better not be creepy, okay? If it's creepy, dual blade, I won't trust you anymore. Honeycomb butterfly slug. Is it a sea slug? Looks like a sea slug. I'm gonna click sea slug. Looks like a sea slug, and it is cool. I still trust you, Dual Blade. He is very cool. Very, very, very comey. Very neat. Water creatures are just wonk as fuck.
Oh, hell yeah.
Water creatures just go freaking nuts. They just go way too hard. Different planet.
They vibe, and we love
Going
it.
to London, Grenade. What color?
Oh, that's very cool.
Alrighty. We like peach, so peach. That's a peach.
Peach
and we know the hair is red.
Yeah.
We gotta go pretty bright red because a doll. Oh no, she's gonna be Wendy's.
Oh boy. I could see it though. I could see how that would happen.
It's the braids. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't think she's that Wendy's, but yeah, it's definitely the braids. I mean, all it means is that, you know, the red-headed girl in a little, like, gingham dress is an aesthetic, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all.
Please, we can derail anyway. Okay, Enthuse asks Mars, why Raggedy Ann?
It just seemed like the kind of general classic doll to do, you know?
Did you have a Raggedy Ann?
No, not at all.
I had a Raggedy Ann and Andy.
I did not grow up with Raggedy Ann. I didn't watch the show. I
never watched the show.
Anything related to it. But I know it exists, and I've seen pictures of it thanks to like media and stuff like that. So
I had a Raggedy Ann and Andy
this is the
doll.
vibe.
And then I also had these I Am grenade. And then I also had these what are they called? Now I've lost my train of thought. I had these other like stuffed dolls that were specifically like from other countries, right? Like they weren't, the dolls were made in like, you know, wherever they were made. But the point is they were like children dressed as like in other countries and stuff. And so when you like clicked them and they made the voice, they would talk in another language. And I specifically had a French one grenade, and it was very stereotypical with the black and white striped shirt and the beret. And he went bonjour. I can vividly remember this doll. What's the character, Dual Blade?
What brand of doll was that?
I have no recollection. I don't know.
Okay. So I'm like, that's so unique.
Yeah. It's one of those things that if if before college, he definitely said suction. He definitely said that. He really definitely did. Okay, we'll see if I can look it up in 30 words or less, and then we'll try. French boy doll. Oh, spoke French. No, these aren't what I want. A satyr girl. Is she tired or are you tired, Dual Blade? Oh, I found it. Vintage Language Littles doll. They're called Language Littles. I found them. Language Littles dolls. Yeah. Here's the girl, the French girl. There's a French girl. There's another... I don't know what he was. This is the boy. I had him. I didn't have this one. I didn't have the little... this girl. Chinese. I didn't have her. I had the French one, and I had this boy. I vividly remember them. What is he? Speaks French! Okay, they were both French. They were both French. Oh, this guy's Ricky Spanish. And then this one is French Jolie. Oh, she was cursed to always be exhausted, dang.
Oh.
Very stereotypical Mary.
Does that affect combat in any way?
Where did you get it, Enthuse? The polite way? Yeah. What would be our polite way of saying, oh shit? Oh goodness! Oh goodness!
Yeah, I think that's the only option,
that's the closest,
really.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You think it's a family heirloom? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's probably the closest we've got.
Oh, I am.
Oh, pluck. Exactly.
Definitely grabbing something to eat.
Oh, get that food. We'll be wrapping up soon.
Oh, that's the case. I'm not gonna leave.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Hanging like that.
So it's more of like a how you play her than Dual Blade, than how it's mechanically.
Then like mechanically.
Makes sense. It's a vibe though. I played a character that was essentially exhausted all the time, but more in like a mentally done with this shit vibe than like physically tired all the time.
That's also a really good vibe though.
He was my cleric, Asen, and it was very much like the, can you please stop getting hurt? You're making my job more difficult. I don't want to be here in the first place, so can you chillax? Thanks.
No, they never can. They will always get injured.
Bane for my soul, yes. Opluck is the funnest thing. It's really fun to see the comic translated into other languages, because they're both Romance languages, and I took a Romance language, and I took 2 Romance languages technically, because I did take some Italian in college. I can get a very basic idea of what a lot of the words are saying, and then of course, like, it's fun to every once in a while just plug it into Google Translate to see what it says. I obviously don't change anything. It's just fun to like see, like, what does this mean, you know, how is this translated? And so it's really interesting to see, like, one of my favorites is like landlubber in Spanish is equivalent to us saying like a fair weather sailor, which is, you know, very similar. And so it's not
so sophisticated. I love it.
Well, it actually I think it's directly translated into something along the lines of like sweet water sailor or something like that. And so it's like, oh, interesting. Very fun. I mean, you know, I would never turn down anything. You know, if you feel confident enough to make it like something.
We never turn down anything.
I would never say no. I don't know if there's a Russian webtoon, though. That would be the biggest thing, because otherwise if there's not a Russian port of webtoon, I don't know where else to post it.
I feel like there is, but don't quote me on that.
Let's find out. Nope, that brought me to French.
Ah, man.
Russian webtoon. This is translate. That's not what I want. This is not what I want. I go to Webtoon Russia. Not easily. Why can't I do it? Does anyone know the little tag for Russian
Not
webtoon?
A clue. If anyone knows, please.
Well, we do. Now, I wouldn't ask him because he's not reliable, but technically one of our table members is a native Russian speaker. He speaks Russian fluently. Game of Masks. Oh, I've heard of that. Like I keep seeing stuff that talks about people translating webtoon into Russian, but it's not bringing me to the Russian webtoons site, and I don't know what the... Oh, maybe this is it. Hold on.
Oh, what'd you find?
Webtoons.com/RUS. Okay, I might have succeeded.
Nice.
They all look like French, though. None of these look like Russian. All of these look like French. Maybe I just am really dumb. These words look like French. No, maybe not. Okay. No, they look like French. This looks like French.
I don't think...
That's French. It's French. It's a change to French. Interesting. I don't know how to get there then. Oh, no. The friend is not reliable in like he wouldn't do it. He's not good with scheduling or consistency. That's what I mean by not reliable. He can speak it reliably. I'm not... It was not a comment on his language ability.
Oh my god.
No. It's definitely French grenade. It says je ne something, and that's French. It was French. Yeah. Le petit moi s'appelle... It's French. I'm gonna stop because Grenade's gonna start insulting my accent and pronunciation if I continue.
Quit while you're ahead, Ori. Quit while you're ahead.
I can't speak Spanish reliably even after taking it for 7 years.
7 years?
And having people in my family that fluently speak Spanish, and worked in 2 long-term jobs where the majority of people spoke Spanish around you. I speak enough Spanish where if I went to a country and nobody spoke English and everybody spoke Spanish, I could live, like I could survive. That's about it.
Probably make it around okay.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Cerca de mi casa. Muy cerca de mi casa. Oh my goodness. Beautiful Wendy's map. Yeah, I don't know how to get to Webtoon Russian. It talks about translating it into Russian, but it doesn't, it just keeps bringing me to French Webtoon. Webtoon in different languages.
Oh, that might bring you to something.
Webtoon translation. I want to go to the other ones, though.
Maybe there's a subreddit that could direct you to it.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like that's always where you discover those types of things.
Entre? I live... Enter the biblioteca? I live inside the library? Entre.
Last I checked, I haven't been visiting you in the library.
I was like, I don't know if that's the way. I'm not sure what you should say. You mean cerca? Or a different word. Okay. What? Is there a Russian version of Webtoon? Webtoon.
Good God, you need to go to sleep.
Yeah, I can't spell even awake.
You are having a moment right now.
No,
Oh my God, we only have 2 weeks left of July. What the hell?
Why are we talking about the library is? Because Grenade said that's all he can ask about in Spanish after 7 years of Spanish. He can only ask where the library is. That's it. Yeah, at the moment I can't find Russian Webtoon. Don't know if it exists. Thankfully there wasn't too much trouble.
I feel like it does exist, we just have no idea where to
It's one of those things where it's not coming up as easily as French or Spanish was, in the same methods that I found both of those, so... You know, enthuse, you're welcome to try if you figure it out. Let me know.
Please. We'd love to have a new
suck at English? You don't suck at English, Grenade.
No, not at all.
Are you outside the... Do you break the mold? So many people who are like, English isn't my first language, sorry about mistakes or whatever, I like would not have known, because I don't know if I told this story. I told this story a long time ago. Rich people don't use Google. Oh no. I told this story a long time ago, but when I first started posting my homebrew on Instagram, I was doing it incredibly, very just quick and dirty and just like as a way to get it out there. I like wasn't, you know, I wasn't trying to like you know, put a lot of effort into it or anything. You know, it was just, the point was to draw it, and then adding the words was just kind of a side thing. And I put the words in my art program, not in like a Word program, so it meant there was no spell check or anything like that, and I would obviously mistype because I'm like rushing and all this sort of stuff. So there's a ton of mistakes. And I posted one of them on Reddit, and someone commented, and it was like very backhanded in a way, but I can't, you know, Reddit is one of those places where I can't always tell if people are trying to be nice and just not good at social cues, you know, like how to socialize, or like they're actually trying to be mean. Like, who knows? It's the internet. And they said something along the lines of like, it's like, you really need to get, you know, someone that speaks English natively to read over your, you know, your descriptions and everything. There's so many mistakes and it detracts from your lovely art. You deserve better than this. And it's just like, English is my first language, thanks God. Dude, assuming that I was an ESL speaker. Because honestly, the typos they were like 2 typos where I added like an S a place or something, and I was just like, thanks. Yeah, exactly, dudes. We can't speak English, so we don't notice.
English is hard.
I agree, Dual Blade. It does deserve to be disrespected. Yeah, we don't really care. It's one of those things where I do, hello PCM, I do feel bad because, Grenade, did you learn English from like a class, from like going to like school and doing it, or did you learn it mostly like by being on the internet and stuff? Because I know Oscar learned a lot of it from being like on the internet, and so I always feel bad. I'm like, I have to type like a good English speaker so I'm not making people confused, and I like edit my shit in the Discord because the people from the place, I'm like I have to make sure that for everybody whose English is a first language, I'm like not making you think that it's a differently and I'm just stupid. Like role model. It's very funny, but I'm very bad. Dylan gets pissed at me all the time. He's finally, after years. No worries, PCM. Unfortunately, we are going to be wrapping up just about now. I know you were nooping, but yeah, Dylan used to get really mad at me. I would type in the Discord, and I type really, really fast, but I'm not good at typing. So it always comes out really bad, and so there's always typos, and so no worries, PCM. I'm sorry you missed it, but you know, we're happy to have you for this little bit. He would get so mad at me that I would, like, type it bad. Finally, after, you know, 8 years, almost 9 years, he's like given up, so you know, it works out. But yeah, I type really, really, really bad. Really, really bad. But any closing statements I want to say? It is red hair. Yeah, Noop has a twin. Not a twin.
Oh, I'm glad, Dual Blade.
I'm glad, Dual Blade.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, exactly. I can't speak. I'm sorry. This is the English stupid happening. No, it's Midnight Brain.
I think the only reason I'm speaking is my brain has entered autopilot.
We enjoyed having you, and I've loved your bird facts and other fun facts and everything. It's great. We're big nerds here about anything and everything, essentially, so fun facts are always enjoyable. There's definitely at least one person in the community that is probably as big of a nerd about the same thing you are, so, you know, that's how we'll end it off. If you're all big nerds,
you're able to meet.
Exactly. We should join the Discord. That's where we hang out. That's where all of our other stuff happens, and all notifications and everything happen. Oh, we definitely have a bird fan.
Absolutely.
We have lots of bird fans and bug fans, and
that is no secret.
There you go. Look at all the glowing reviews where the cool kids hang out. And everything like that. But yeah, thank you all for hanging out for this character design stream. We will be new episode of the comic tomorrow, noon Eastern Standard Time, which is, now I have remembered, -4 at the moment because daylight savings is stupid, but it's right now -4, so look it out for that. It's great. Let me put that in. So many plugs. Brain is slow.
The script is coming out on the Ko-fi. I know that's happening as well.
Stuff.
So that's exciting. And
it's
we'll
also
be back
available
on
in
Tuesday.
Spanish and French, thanks to
Yes,
Grenade
that
and
is
Oscar,
important.
our lovely channel. I'm gonna say members, but you know, it's not like the whole thing and everything like that. Oh, PCM, don't cry.
Aww.
I'm so sorry. You're a cool kid, PCM. You're hanging out.
Oh, you're always
a cool kid.
PCM.
You made it. You got here for a little bit. It's late, so everybody's joining in, but it's nighttime, and Mars and I need sleep, and Mars has school or something tomorrow. So.
Yes, indeedy, I do.
All right, guys. Thanks, and hopefully we'll see you on Tuesday for more Paradise Killer, where Mars and I go insane. All right, then.
Yeah, you will watch our brains break on that one.
It. I am rejoicing, PCM.
Oh, yay, PCM.
All right.
All right, next
stream. Sounds good. See you guys then. Good night.
Good night, everybody.